All right. Yeah. So,
Good morning. Good afternoon.
hello.
It's afternoon now.
Sentences need prepositions.
Yeah, do they?
They do.
Do they?
They do.
Yeah.
It's very important to
So,
denote.
I we're starting the podcast 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, because I sent Wooly a message, and the message was, "Give me 5. I got a poop disaster." So I sat down and I kick on the microphone a couple minutes ago, and he says to me,
Was that you? Or, like, it's
"No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I promise.
it's important. It's very important.
It was not me that had the poop disaster. I promise."
That is not an impossibility as time
All
goes
right.
forward. In fact, I would say as time goes forward,
Becomes more likely
the,
every
the,
day.
the likelihood of it being the baby becomes less, and the likelihood of it being you becomes more.
I feel like
There's a direct straight line.
as I've gotten older, the moments where you just barely make it, and you're like, you wipe the sweat from your forehead. You're like, oh, thank God. Those have been coming in closer and closer to the buzzer as I've gotten older. When I was like in my 20s, it was like, oh, I probably had like a minute to spare. And now I'm like, man, if I had not done that part where I sprinted, I would be done right now. It would be over.
Yeah. I mean, I have not entered that realm, but I do know that there's a point you hit where you physically need to use other instruments of your body. Like you get your hands involved in the closure. You've got to, walk, awkward, funny step while physically pushing the cheeks together, doing whatever you can do.
Yeah. I hate pooping. I want to remove pooping from my body, but I don't want to strap a bag to my guts. There's no options.
There are no options.
Like every now and then you're looking at social media and you'll be like, this is the story of how I lost my butthole, and you're like, pardon? And they explain that, due to some kind of intestinal issue, my butthole was removed and sewed up, and you're like, wow,
Yeah. No.
just like that. Like that.
I saw a video of a lady describing how she eats through her heart.
What?
And I was like, what? And it's like there's a like nutritious solution that is like liquefied that then has to be drip fed through an IV directly into the heart and into the bloodstream, and it takes 12 hours to do. And then she does it every day, and then after that she can just go about, and she doesn't feel hungry and she doesn't eat. And it's just like a food through the heart thing.
Listen, hey, you know what? Let's put this mental image of nightmare aside. I would like a vibe check, I guess the kids call it now. I feel very bad listening to that. Probably more than most people. But I'm not crazy to be like, don't like that. That's no one's sitting there going like, yeah, that's fine.
No. The idea of anything direct into the heart is really scary, and obviously, like, the details of it are like every single connection moment needs to be super sterilized, because anything getting in there it's your fucking heart, But I think it's not a silver lining, but what made it make more sense was like, they're like, yeah, do you like miss food, or don't you want to eat? And she's like, fuck no, because every time I eat it was horrible, and my body,
because they had some kind of
she had a case where basically her body rejects eating food, and she gets super sick from it.
Oh, that's not a good one.
So, but like every association with normal eating was negative and bad. Therefore,
forever,
it's like,
for decades, probably.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't want food. I'm happy without it. Therefore, this is awesome. So like, yeah, it's
strange.
But also science. How about that? Right?
Do you miss Doritos, heart lady? Can you put a Dorito into your chest?
God, it's just just the thought of like what, just I want one time. It's like, no, if you do it once, it's over, and I just want one Dorito to the heart.
It's worth it.
Yeah. In any case, I mean, God bless, you know. What's
good luck with that, I suppose.
Yeah, it seems
everyone with weird tubes going into their butt and or otherwise. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. They're figuring it out. They're getting there. I think it might be cool to get to a point where the like I don't know. Whatever. Fast forward this conversation 5 minutes.
Thank you. This I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Let's fast forward it.
Fast forward the conversation 5 minutes. Enhancements. Robot parts. That's it.
We want them.
Let's
give them to us.
Right. Plastic tubing. Yada yada. Just robots. All right. There we go. Cool. All right.
Robot, please.
Yeah. There. I think.
Thank you.
If the first cybernetic enhancement you add to your body is to like manage your shitting, that's a very invasive, but also the pluses are very high. So I think you can convince people with that.
All cybernetic surgery is going to be invasive, right?
Yeah, but if you're like, get rid of your arm, you're like, oh, okay, my new arm's going to be cool, but like, damn, what if something goes wrong and I kind of want my old arm, right? Whatever,
well,
but...
You gotta somehow fix the phantom pain syndrome problem. That's not good.
But like if you're like, hey, robot parts to deal with pooping, then it's like,
yeah,
that's not bad. That's cool. Net positive, right?
You know what would be good if you like had like a latch, and you would go to the bathroom and you would just your asshole would be like a port. And you would just put the vacuum to the port and hit the button like a garbage disposal, and then it would just suck everything out of you. And then you would hit the button when it was done, and you would be like, "That's good, I'm done, goodbye." And then you would go,
I'm imagining
it would seal off.
I'm imagining the entire like large intestine like going like you just got like from the moment you go from stomach to small intestine, just hit it starts going right into robot, and then it does a trash compactor kind of effect immediately, and then and you kind of just and
let's fast forward this conversation 5 minutes. Brain in a fucking tube. In a fucking fridge.
Brain in a fridge. Sure.
Just drip like fucking starchy nutrient water onto my fucking cerebellum, and fucking cover me up with like a nice little mask.
Sure. I was gonna go with like, remember Futurama's little
head in a jar?
No, not that part, but the little monkey companion Fry had. That was,
I
like,
remember him.
Super smart.
Fuckhead or whatever his name was.
Yeah, and whenever it poops, it's like a super fucking energy source. It's like
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so his poop was like a really super dense, crazy, heavy thing. Nibbler's
Nibbler. Now I remember.
Yeah, so you just imagining the part where it's like, hey, once a month there's going to be a hyper compacted, like all of your waste in one little cube, and it's an energy cube that is just
okay. I have a question. Yeah. This is a good question that I'm liking. Let's go back.
Rewind.
Way back.
Okay, rewinding.
All right. Let's say you could be as you are right now, or only have to go to the bathroom once a year. But it would be a lot.
But it takes all day.
It takes like 2 full days.
Yeah, 2 out of 365 days are dedicated towards the cleansing.
I really shouldn't have scheduled anything on this day. I don't know what I was thinking.
The unmaking, the absolute purge. Worth it.
I would do it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
It
is worth it.
Super worth it.
So then the story becomes like, how many days in a row can your mentality allow before you're like, no, I'm not doing it? Like, what's the break point on that? Is it like 5 days? Because 5 days is a lot.
Losing a week? losing a week?
Like a work week. This is my cycle. Man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, can you put me under? Can I go to sleep while it's
No,
happening?
no, because you have to push.
Can you? And you have to stay awake too.
Yeah, well, mostly.
Well, because if you're pushing for 5 days, you're gonna die. Like you
Yeah.
literally. Like no, you
But,
have.
well, no, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
No, I imagine a like you sleep, you wake up, and then the next 12 hours are just the getting it all out.
Today. Yeah, but here's the thing. I've done that like in my life.
Yeah, it's just pregnancy. That's
Already.
We're describing pregnancy.
But I know I've been on the toilet for 12 hours once. I was very ill. But like you every time you feel like you're about to be safe to leave, you hear the gurgle and you're like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe at all.
And then that's also how fucking whatchamacallit works. Not pregnancy, the other one there.
The other one?
The other one that's
What
really painful. The calcium.
Kidney stones.
Kidney stones, right? Kidney stones is another version of that. So in both cases, you're charging up one big like spend all your meter moment, but it's super painful.
I find it like we both say some weird things. I think you referring to kidney stones as the other one in regards to pregnancy is legitimately completely insane.
All right. Here we go. The reason why it's called the other one is because when it comes to the comparison of things that hurt to do, kidney stones and pregnancy are often compared because they're fucking suck.
You know what?
Right?
You let me give you a piece of advice. Do you know who doesn't appreciate that factoid?
Pregnant people.
When you're like, well, kidney stones, they they don't want to hear it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, like the urethra is actually not meant to expand.
I am traumatized by the fallout from the last version of this conversation I had. We
like the birthing canal actually is meant to expand the just get lit up. Don't do it. Fine. I mean, that's okay.
Just don't.
Don't do it.
There's a bullet many of you can dodge in the future.
It's called a kidney stone because that's what it feels like coming out.
I thought I had kidney stones once, but I guess I didn't. Nothing ever came out of my wiener. Well, nothing rock shaped.
That's that's a blessing. You're lucky, and count your stars.
Have you had a kidney stone?
No, I haven't. But I know many people that have, and every time they do, it's the worst experience they've ever had.
Okay, so your description of every time they do sounds terrible. Okay. Because that implies the same people are getting kidney stones repeatedly.
No, it's more like I've known 3 people in my life that have had kidney stones, and they've all fucking sucked.
Drink more water, everyone. Drink more water.
And then like, if you're lucky, you can like do things to break it up inside your system before it comes out. But if you don't, whatever's coming's coming, and it's a bullet.
You don't want to have to deal with the umbrella system.
Nope.
The umbrella system is not great.
Use there's things that can like turn one large bullet into like smaller ones that are like still gonna cut up and bleed. It's damage that never quite fucking anyway. So it's the other one. It is the other one. All right.
All right, we fulfilled our mandated meandering nonsense section of the podcast.
Exactly as segmented. So thus begins week. How did your week go?
It's fine. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about this week. Lies of P is incredible. Lies of P is like legitimately. I'm actually going through I'm going to be streaming it tonight, which I almost never stream Monday nights because I'm like right at the I'm like right there. I'm like right at the fucking end. Like, where you're like looking at like the kiln of the first flame, essentially. Yeah, I could bust that out. It's so great. It fixes so many issues that the Souls games have. Fixes.
Ooh.
Like the way weapons come apart, the way enemies react, the enemy
system.
variety. It is fascinating. It is way more interesting than, hey man, Pinocchio's gonna go after some puppets. It goes into all sorts of weird play. It's Bloodborne. It's basically Bloodborne. It's Bloodborne. Did you play Bloodborne? Did you want some more Bloodborne? Go get some Bloodborne.
But the thing is whenever we've discussed Souls-likes and the the entries that like have come along over the last like 5 or maybe a bit longer than that years, usually you're going to get your Souls game with a remixed idea of like, imagine this aspect to it, and it's not necessarily like a improvement on what was there. It's more of just a different take on it.
I'll be a lot harsher than that. I'll be like, usually what you get is, hey, what if we made a Souls game with this twist? And also, most of it wasn't as good as the last Souls game you played. But the twist.
But the twist.
This game is, what if we had a Souls game made by a Korean team with Pinocchio and had its own twists, but it's got its own stuff that's just as good and some things that are better than a Souls game. This game has there's 2 boss fights that are ad fights that are 4v1. 4 bosses versus you, and they're fantastic and not frustrating.
Okay.
Like, it is a fucking try, because you're like, how could that be?
Right, because I was going to say, what's an example of a direct improvement that they've managed
ad
to
fights
do?
are good.
Ad fights, okay. I would say, like, I don't know if it counts, but Abyss Watchers is an excellent take on an ad fight.
It is the ad fight in P is much better than Abyss Watchers.
Okay.
Which is wild. Because because the Abyss Watchers is a weird ad fight because it's actually 2v2 for a lot of it.
Okay.
Right? It's like kind of a free for all.
Yeah.
This is 1 versus 4. This is absolutely like you are fighting 4 individuals with full boss health bars, and it is awesome.
Do you consider ad fights only when there's a major target with many minor targets coming in to bother you, or if the same target in multiple copies of itself show up?
That's a really good question.
Shadows of Yharnam, etc.
So the usual way that I would define any ad fight is I'm fighting multiple bosses at once, and the game is the boss's gimmick is that I'm gonna focus on one of these enemies, and then the other is gonna sneak attack me from a camera angle that I can't see.
Okay.
Or they're basically constantly splitting your attention. Okay. It's like Ornstein and Smough, despite being like 2v1, I don't really consider an ad fight because that boss fights as 1 unit.
Yeah, and it's cool. It feels like it feels like a much more understandable balance of like where you want to shift your attention. You can choose to take on Ornstein. You can choose to take on Smough. You can choose to take on both if you're really trying to go fucking wild. But when you fight like a rat authority or something that's like, I'm over here and these are here to nibble at you, and killing them is really just a slowing down how quickly you're going to get to me thing. That to me is the ad fight. That's to me that's what I hate. I don't mind if there's multiple targets that are all valid, and if you hit them, it's actually depleting the whole, Again, Shadows of Yharnam or the DS2 golems that golf swing at you.
The fucking Rune Sentinels.
The Rune Sentinels, right? They're annoying as fuck, but they're also but they do represent like 3 versions of a whole, as opposed to like little ads that can come at you forever and never really affect anything. They're just distractions. That's my main gripe with ads.
But yeah, it's great. In particular, like I'm in doing like the last couple of zones, and unlike almost every Souls game, including Elden Ring, the last 10 to 15% of the game still really good.
Hey, nice. Okay.
Like I don't know what the fuck it is about the way From Software develops their games, but there's that part at like the 15% to go mark or 20% to go mark where the game just starts to become really bad. And then you forget that is the the flow because the DLC comes out, and then that doesn't become the end. It becomes like the middle, right? Armored Core also is not like that. Armored Core is fucking great right to the end. But yeah, no, yeah, Lies of P is it's great. It's a good game. Good game. Excellent game.
Any game that's like mission based can control that better, you know?
Yeah, I would. That makes sense.
Exactly. If Armored Core had to have you like fly across an entire planet map and make your way to these points of interest, but fill the world with other shit to do, and by the end of it, there's not much shit to do, then it would probably suffer the same fate.
I got to like the like that area in front of the fucking fire giant in Elden Ring, and I'm just like, I don't give a. There's nothing in these fucking dungeons that can offer me anything at this point. I have completed every dungeon and every side quest on fucking 35 fucking square kilometers of road. There's nothing you can offer me that will change anything about my character.
It didn't bug me as much in Elden Ring with the towards the end. It was more like over the course of the entire thing, the same whatever. I was going to say Chalice dungeons, but really, yes, the same Chalice dungeons was just it's a malaise dripped over the entire playthrough, as opposed to like
for me. It was like a breaking point once I could see the fucking the kiln.
Post capital.
Yeah, once I could see physically see the kiln where you burn and go, that's the spot. It like evaporated a lot of the desire for the side content, because 99% of Elden Ring is like the tree, and the tree is so impossibly fucking far away that you're just like, oh, I'll go fucking get there one day. But then you get like a concrete goal, and it's like right there. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't really feel like going through 45 more ulcerated tree spirits.
Is Lies of P a straight line?
Yeah, actually. It's one of the weirdest things about it. It is the most linear Souls game. Like, there is one minor optional area, but most of the game is like a hallway. And it is a very, very curated hallway where they want every enemy to come at you in a certain way, and there's an ambush here and ambush there. And it's closer to like Devil May Cry in that, like, this is the encounter room, and then you're going to do it, and then you're going to go to the next encounter room. And so on and so forth.
So you're not really having moments where you like backtrack through the same area and then like forked left to go to a different zone with a different boss.
So not only do you not do that, but there is a little bit of backtracking, right? That maybe there's an NPC quest or what have you. When you go to the teleport menu in Lies of P, if there's an NPC that has something to talk to you, their icon will show up next to the goddamn bonfire they're next to.
Fuck yeah. That's great. That's great.
Oh, more, Wooly. You can unlock records to listen to in the hub. Once you've beaten a zone and you didn't get a record, the record symbol will show up next to the bonfire that the record is at.
To go collect it.
To go get it.
Huh. Yeah, okay. Quality of life.
It's like
your shit's
it's just
over
like
here.
no, you don't have to do this fucking nonsense. But what it does carry forward from the Souls games is like, hey, do you want an absolutely absurdly asinine set of requirements to get the real true ending? Boy, do we got one for you.
Okay.
So
is it like absurd because it's difficult, or absurd because you would never guess or figure this out?
It's absurd because it's a slavish devotion to the game's theme that absolutely makes perfect sense once you get your head into the game.
Okay.
But maybe you didn't really get your head into the theme until later. So, for example, you're playing as P, aka Pinocchio, who is a puppet who has the ability to lie. And lies are something that can make people human. So when you lie, it says your gears are shifting, like, something's changing. And sometimes lying to people can ease their pain or make them happy, blah, 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 right? If you do that a lot, it changes from your gears are shifting to you feel warm, and so on and so forth. But it's not just lying. It's also listening to music via the game's in-game record player. Makes you feel something. Because why would an autonomous puppet sit around for 25 minutes listening to records? Unless they felt something.
Okay. Does that message of you feeling something pop up as soon as you start listening?
No, at the end of a song.
That's
so
not
I was
great.
going into the music player and listening to a song for 2 minutes and then leaving.
That's
and
not
then
great.
People were like, Pat, you have to finish those records. You have to finish every record in the game. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? I don't give a fuck about this music player. And they're
That's
like,
pretty fucking.
No, you have to. You have to.
Okay. From hearing from the outside, it sounds like. Again, I'm not sure how the themes are introduced and everything, but it sounds like go to the OST player, sit there for a bit, and then on the menu, once the menu's done, you're gonna get a message that actually affects in-game stuff, which is
and then you get. And then you're like, oh, well, what is the actual things to get the true ending? And it's like, oh, lie your ass off as much as you possibly can and listen to all the music. So it's actually really simple.
Yeah. I'll preface it because I see some people think that's pretty cool. If you're walking around in an environment and there's like there's a music player playing somewhere, or someone's playing music somewhere, and you sit down next to them and listen to them, that's an in-game way of having this moment versus if it's on a menu of an OST soundtrack listing. That doesn't feel the same, because I don't feel like my character's listening to the music at that point, So that's a bit odd. But again, I'm saying this as like just what it sounds like from what you're describing. Okay.
So the idea is that they want players to like play the music player and then go do all the stuff they would do in Firelink Shrine, and then the music would naturally, because it's only 3-minute tracks, right? So by the time you're finished upgrading your weapons or your whatever, then all of a sudden. You'd be like, oh my god, did listening to the music make me a real boy? Yes.
It's diegetic music. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it is diegetic. And also, I'm not going to go too into it because it's kind of metaphysical, but the ambient music that exists in some stages is also diegetic, despite having no clear source of music.
Okay.
Like it's like a radio waves thing where like the music is like being actually broadcast over the air. Yeah, game is fantastic.
I like
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's also kind of reminding me of like, did you stare at your wife's photo enough?
Hey, somebody in the chat asks a really fantastic question, which we should explain. What does the word diegetic mean?
Right. So, does the music play in a way where you, the player, are simply hearing it as a means of like the game producing this sound, or does the character in world hear the music as well? Is it a part of what's happening in scene?
So, for example, Chai in Hi-Fi Rush is listening to music on his Walkman.
Yeah. Everything
like the music you hear in Hi-Fi Rush is he's playing it in his earbuds.
The characters can hear and respond to it as well, versus music that is just happening for the score of the moment, but like the characters in world don't hear it at all.
Yeah, it's just for the drama from your god perspective. Let's see. Liza P is super great. What else? Fuck, I can't. Dude, I can't even remember what I do. I literally have to go to my video producer and be like, oh, that's right. I got the wife into Vampire Survivors.
V-Serve.
Yeah.
Did you try the multiplayer mode?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really?
It worked? So good.
Nice.
Okay, so here's how multiplayer mode works in Vampire Survivors. Because 2 players, that's super busted, right? No. All the buffs in Vampire Survivors are multiplicative, right? So all they do is they say, okay, each player gets 4. So it's a total of 8 weapons and 8 buffs, but they're not multiplying by 8 times. They're multiplying by 4 twice. So
you're half as powerful, but together you should be strong enough to.
You should be stronger, and I think they juice the chest math a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. it's great. It works perfectly. It works exactly the way you would expect.
Do you
can
both
put little
choose
colored
a power-
outlines.
Do you both choose a power up when one gets one?
When you level up simultaneously, and it alternates one then the other.
Yeah, interesting.
It's great. It's great. But the reason I mention it is because I was playing Vampire Survivors, and every time Paige had seen Vampire Survivors, she'd be like, I don't know how you can fucking see anything in that shit, because it would always be like the file that I have like 75 hours on, or I have like 170 things unlocked, and it's just like a complete fucking mess within 4 minutes. But then we started to play it, and she got like the level ups, and the chest music goes off, and like all of a sudden she's oh no, I hate that I like this. The sounds are so good. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking violently addictive slot machine that is using its horrible like shit for good.
No, every time the chest pops up and you get the 5 chests,
and you're like, oh!
right? Exactly. And then I go, wait, no, I should hate this. Wait, it's not costing real money. It's just in game. But they're using the evil methods to make you feel good. It's
the most intense Skinner box I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I've trained a secondary like catch response to when that happens to be like, no, don't fucking put your credit card in. Wait, there is no credit card. Okay, cool. Yay.
In fact, not only is there no credit card, I bought the game and both its DLCs for less price than a Subway sandwich.
Man. But every time though, yeah, like I have to like let the endorphins hit. Also when it's the coin frenzy.
Oh.
Where the fucking screen is just like money.
I love it. All right, what else? Oh, yeah, last but not least, you know what? I found something about FF14 to complain about that I don't think I've ever mentioned on this show.
Okay.
So the game has player versus player, and the rewards for it are big fancy items. That's not important. What's important is that there's a gameplay mode called Frontlines that gives you the largest rewards per day, right? It's just the best thing you can do once a day. And the Frontlines has a lot of problems. It's a 24 versus 24 versus 24. This is a 72-person game. It has a lot of its own problems, but it has one really big problem. And that is, I think that every game ever made in which it is a free-for-all between 3 teams is the stupidest fucking thing ever, because you are guaranteeing the average player will lose more than 50% of their games.
Is there a second place, or are there 2 losers?
There is a second place, which is worth nothing.
Okay, well there's your problem. Second place should be worth something.
I also have a secondary problem. This seems to be player psychology. I have seen it literally 1,000 times. I don't understand what it is. I don't understand what is wrong with people's brains. Okay, red is way ahead. Oh man, they're gonna win. And blue is a little bit far behind. Blue could take it if they really clutched it out. But yellow, deep in third, goes, you know what I should do? I should attack blue to make sure that red wins. It is absolutely invariable that third place will go after second place. And guarantee the people who are already ahead to win.
That happened in Tetris 99 when we'd play as well. Although a lot of the times the default is to watch whoever's in first is the target, and everyone tries to pummel first until it becomes more of a unclear situation. So I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I guess it depends.
I just saw something. I was just messaged the actual answer as to why people do that, and it makes me want to put a gun in my mouth. People are doing that to make the match end faster so they can get the guaranteed rewards because they don't think they're going to get the winning rewards.
Okay. That
And
so you have a unique scenario where the reward distribution incentivizes playing not your hardest in some circumstances. Then, right? Because I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking of when we played like Tetris 99 or other things like that, where it's like usually first place becomes a target, and second and third will gang up, and then they'll have an uneasy truce for a moment until it becomes like it's anybody's game, and then you attack the breakaway winner again.
You can see like every possible variation of like bad player behavior in a game that's it's like 3 versus everyone. Like you're loading in and you're like, why are 6 people out of my team of 24 not moving at all or spinning in place? Oh, they queued in just for the reward. They're literally just AFK, but like nudging the stick just enough for the timer to not fucking remove them.
Yeah. So that's definite. That aspect of this particular case in FF14 is definitely affecting the way people are behaving. You'll get weird behavior like that in like 3-for-all. That's a good term in 3-for-all situations. But I think that's more reflective of like when a game is not zero sum, people kind of don't know what to do. I think there's a little bit of like. Yeah, I understand the basics of what I win, you lose, and what you lose, and what you win, I lose. But when it becomes a little more complicated than that, long term, it gets weird. Which is also why I think like 3 versus or 4 player matches in like a StarCraft type situation were also kind of hard to deal with. When you had all races on the same map and you had to like fight 2 enemies on different fronts, those were the hardest matches to learn how to prioritize your targets.
The other thing, and this is the part that really matters, one of the reasons why you see people load in and just not play Frontlines is because Frontlines is terrible. And bizarrely, and this is the part that really is bizarre, there's like 4 or 5 different types of PvP in that game. Frontlines, which is by far the worst one, is the only one that has rewards for doing it every single day.
So it's the unfun one that needs you to play it the most, that people have to also play together in a weird...
And also because the numbers of people are so big, it's actually really easy to like hide in a corner and just not do anything. Oh my god, it's such a piece of shit. Well, I do it every day. Gives you like a full level on your character. It gives you a full level of experience on your character. It's ridiculous.
That sounds doomed to having like the worst participants.
And they've ping-ponged between like, well, people are AFKing and not doing good, so what we're going to do is remove all the experience rewards. And what happens then? So few people play it that you can't even get into a match. Like the mode essentially just dies outright.
Yeah. Min was at Tokyo Game Show and he was standing next to Yoshi P. He could have yelled at him about it.
He should have yelled, "Where's my fucking rival wings roulette?" That's what he should have fucking said. But no. But that's it for me this week. I'm going to play Liza P tonight and beat it up. That's over at twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. I have been informed by most of the people watching my show that I have beaten the really hard bosses. Which... There are some really hard fucking, like I talked up Liza P. That game is hard as fuck. That is on the upper fucking scale. That is like Sekiro more than it is like a Dark Souls game.
Optionals or
no.
Okay, interesting.
Also, there's like nothing that's really optional in that game, boss wise. It's all mandatory. It's hard as fucking fuck. I'm loving it, but fuck, it's hard as shit.
Cool. Okay. Over on this side, I had a similar thing where I don't know if you... Well, I was going through Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and hit like 2 streams, and then I was like, okay, cool, that was dope. And then basically was told like, hey, like the game, you got like, you're halfway through the game. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just finish it then.
We'll just finish it.
So then, I did another one.
But you weren't halfway through the game, were you?
No. Well, I did another session after that, and then as I was wrapping it up, it was like, oh, you've got like 30 minutes left, and I was like, okay, let's go. Right, we did a long day because I was trying to I was trying to get as much as I could in that, because I feel like we're making some big strides towards cleaning up the plate, so with that, like,
would you believe that actually literally happened to me with Lies of P also?
Okay, yeah.
Hey, you know why I'm fucking doing this stream on fucking Monday? Because I was told by multiple people, dude, you can bang us out in one stream, no problem.
Yeah.
So then I do a 7-hour stream, and people were like, oh yeah, you got like 3 hours left for sure. Like, but you fucking liars!
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, and that's okay. So I mean, people will absolutely lie about whatever the time left is on the thing, because they have no memory of that whatsoever. They're just cutting out in their brain.
The person I spoke to literally said, oh, I forgot the whole last zone of the game.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck,
This has happened constantly. God bless Solidus. You're a real one. Whenever the numbers come out from Solidus, they're accurate. I feel like over the years, I've just seen like, oh, you're right there. There's not much, whatever. And it's like, there are like 6 hours left. What the fuck are you talking about?
I've gotten so mad so many times.
God, yeah, it's not great. So yeah, knowing exactly that, and then that's often it'll be like, okay, pause. What exactly does that mean? Like, where is there's this and then that? Okay, cool, all right. So anyways, did it hit up the finale of that one. So in talking about the improvements over the predecessor, the Jet Set Radio and Future both had janky ass finales for sure. Awesome music, but like what they were going for felt rough, because like the skate around the circle and then like hit the boss target point stuff was the jank got in the way. Here they
it that thing where from what my tiny amount of time with Bomb Rush, is it that time where the game's aesthetic and all that is carrying it, and it's not asking you to do anything too strenuous, but then it asks you to do something really strenuous with mechanics that can't really bridge that gap?
So that happened in Jet Set Radio. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. They asked you to do things that were exactly way too difficult for what the system was kind of designed to do, and you'd be skating over a pit, and like you'd have these very specific jumps to make to then get up to the boss, but like it's moving at a pace that you don't have the best control over, you or your camera. And so anyway, all that to say that throughout this game there was a number of, like, again, like Mirror's Edge, like time trial style, floating in the sky, make these jumps, make it through to the end type of moments.
Right.
And this last kind of challenge presents something kind of like that, except they give you not just like the 1 or 2 paths you have to take, and if you fuck it up, like, too bad, keep dying.
Right.
There's a ton of different rails surrounding this big final boss, and there's a ton of different targets. So you're kind of working on like a very large stage with a bunch of targets to work at, and it feels great. And when you fuck up a jump, you have like different landing points to try and salvage it.
Oh, okay. I can save it.
Yes, you can, and the higher up you are, the more opportunities you have, and then like
that's nice.
Yeah, and the camera snaps in a way that makes it like simpler to kind of like commit to a direction and then go that way. So it was like a really effective boss fight for that system. There was a boss fight before that, which again, like it struggled a bit because there's the lock on, there's no real lock on, and I think the game would benefit heavily from that. And yeah, in conclusion, I would say like the maps, the lock-on, or the combat system overall, just like an overhaul with that would be necessary. And there is a little bit of like opening up a new area, presenting some challenges, and you kind of like are. It's very open, and there's some areas that you find that are optional that are also really big. And I feel like there should be more like to do in these areas besides just like kind of like hit up these tag spots. Here's a couple of secrets over here. It'd be really great if you could do things
a little too victory lap for your liking.
It would be great if they could like just fill up these large areas with a bit more content that's optional, while kind of giving you the ability to mainline. Because I definitely felt there were some moments of kind of lagging while looking for where the next mainline objective was. And admittedly, like playing in a last session kind of mentality. We're trying to go faster, you know. But when I would see something optional, be like, oh, this would be cool to check out later, but no, I don't have the time for it right now. We would we would open up some new larger areas where like there's an empty space where nothing was going on, and then like there was something way over here. Whereas I feel like the first levels were a lot more densely packed with like little bits and pieces, you know. That being said, though, still very cool in terms of, again, theme, aesthetic, music, all that's firing on all cylinders.
Cool is it to be physically transplanted into the game yourself?
Yes, shout outs to Quiet Viking, who got the mod set up to have so Quiet Viking made a model of me and Reggie for a Jet Set Radio video we did a while ago, and just converted that into the modding.
Oh, is that how that happened? That's cool.
Because we took a look. So VR Chat had a Jet Set Radio festival event that a number of Jet Set Radio fans put together, and it was a really cool way to just play through VR Chat and, you know, enjoy that vibe. And so we did that. Quiet Viking put together those models, and then you can drop them right over, because the modding in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk has become pretty simple, and like people are modding that game into multiplayer. I missed it, but I got a message about modding in the map things, the problems I have. Like there's whenever you are getting chased by the cops, you can go to a porta potty, change your outfit, and then the heat dies down.
Yeah, What about in the game?
But they're not marked on the map, so you have to memorize where those porta potties are, right? And they also have cooldowns if you use them like back to back. So I wish you can mark them yourself, or they're indicated on the map, because the map tells you a bunch of other stuff. So that's a big thing. But yeah, you can mod that in. You can mod in all kinds of other shit, and it's really like there's that initial like step of like, wait, there's an initial step of like, I don't understand how to get the mods going that like I needed some help with. But once you do, there's a browser that you kind of just like scroll through a mod manager and just be like, hey, look, it's Gum from Jet Set Radio. Let's add her to the group, you know? Oh, cool. Bathroom tags. Yeah, no problem. Custom spray as well. You know, that shit's all set up. So, yeah, it's nice that that's happening. I would like it to see officially happen for sure, but I could definitely envision a version of this game where like a patch comes through the line for the consoles later that just grabs a bunch of the most popular PC mods and then like drops them into the Switch
there you go,
or whatever. Yeah, but really cool with that. And you know, there's a story that's like wildly like, it just like the intro level proposes lots of body horror, and the game just
way more than I was expecting, man.
Yeah, and the game just steers all the way in that direction aggressively. So it's kind of wild with it, because I was not expecting these like RoboCop remake-esque discomforts to occur constantly.
Still don't understand the core concept of like, oh, we replaced your head. Like, you're a completely different fucking person.
it's
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, and it goes way further than that. But it's fine. It's the cyber future. The Flesh Prince will figure it out. You don't got to think too hard about it. But yeah, so wrapped that up. I talked about finishing World Tour before as well, so that's clear. And then with 16. I have what hopefully is maybe another 2 streams to the end. So we're just gonna
where are you at exactly right this second?
Just got whatchamacallit, Shiva.
Okay. Oh, you're starting to get the really busted shit now.
So yeah, I'm not gonna go into well, okay, some people are okay. Spoiler alert, I suppose, for anything else going into late FF16. If you haven't played it yet, this is the alert.
So yeah, no, the only thing I'm going to say is like how many streams you have left is going to vary dramatically depending on how much of the side content you want to do.
Yes, and I'm doing most of the side content off camera. I'm doing the good ones on camera.
So FF16's like most horrible placing problem is that, so have you noticed that every time you unlock side quests, you unlock more of them? like that moment that they're like, you could go fight the final boss right now, Clive, is the moment where like 17 of them unlock.
Okay.
And like 2 of them are worth it. And I did all of them, and it took me like it took me like a stream and a half, and I was like very resentful. I was very mad about it.
Blackthorn is depressed, part 4.
It like annihilated the fucking pacing coming off of like the big events that had occurred. Yeah, and I was skipping dialogue too, and it still took me.
Okay.
It took me like 6 to 8 hours to do all that. It was It's like a full game of the game's shittiest content. It's wild.
Yeah, a lot of that I'm just doing off cam, and then
that is a much better idea than what I did.
On cam, good side quests, and the dialogue options that are when you go back to the base and people have an ask about the newest thing that happened. I'm hitting up all the NPCs for their like current thoughts on the matter. And then we're just hitting the next red, Yeah, so it is interesting, I suppose, like getting these like new baseline abilities where I was like, oh, Bahamut, that's cool. You get to dodge and build up this thing that's going to be really useful. But something I'm starting to I'm feeling a lot is there are really strong abilities that let you play the game, and there are really strong abilities that don't. Yeah. And as much as the Bahamut payoff is fun and you get that sick dodge out of it, the fact that you cannot really fight except for shooting the funnels while floating around is a passive thing that I don't want to do, Yeah. So I'd much rather put on Shiva and have an active dodge, I would say
that all 3 of the last ones have the same problem in that respect. In that their abilities are focused on not playing the game, because Shiva's dodge itself is, I'm going to turn the enemy off.
Right.
I'm going to make the enemy go from a action enemy that I'm going to fight to a training dummy for like 10 fucking seconds.
And any stagger on them, you can pop the freeze bomb so that they come out to re-stagger.
Are you seeing, like, you're starting to see like the bits and pieces that I put together, and it's like, and it's like they're de facto like non-active. Like the last one is like, it's the worst one in this respect, but it's also the strongest one.
Okay.
So you feel like I'm really handicapping myself by not using this thing.
Right. Yeah.
But boy,
I had a sequence that was basically just like, drop the lightning, the judgment bolt, whatever the lightning rod, and then Kamehameha it, and like, I was like, oh, okay, I see. But I think the way it feels best right now to me, and this is interesting because we're not strangers to like, there are busted things you can do, so play to the amount that the challenge you want matches, like self nerf if you want to, or whatever the case is. For me, what I like is fighting in up close and then staggering through like all the main direct abilities, and then in the stagger now unload all the bombs, right? That's where you can cutscene it the fuck up. But I wouldn't want to replace that like race to stagger moment, I don't think.
I really I'm excited to talk to you next week, because I've been wanting to talk to you from an action game perspective. How you feel about the final batch of abilities that you unlock. Okay. Because I think they are so fun to the point where they are poorly designed. Like they are character action abilities designed by somebody going, man, what would be the most fun thing you could possibly do with this? And then they did it. Then you're like, oh.
Right. I'm already self-regulating, I think, on some of those abilities, but cool stuff. And we'll see what Barbie has to say, and or Barney for that matter, and Everyone's there doing their thing. It's post human evil, therefore ride it out, whatever. Um, and then yeah, only other thing is I read the post Avatar: The Last Airbender animated series graphic novels. So there's I read two of the three. So there's The Promise, which is a like pretty much like a season, really. It's a
Okay,
full
when do these
arc.
take place?
They take place immediately after the show ends.
Okay.
So they effectively are
The first show.
yes, and these are
Okay.
effectively a final season of the show, if not a 3 final arcs.
Are these like we wanted to get one and then we couldn't get one, so we wrote books, or is this just happens to be the way that they are?
Well, from reading there's the Promise, the Search, and then I haven't read the last one, the Rift, but at least the first two, the Promise and the Search, they were great. I really liked them. They felt like they could be a like yeah
Are they written
another
by the
season.
writers, or are they contracted out?
I don't know. I don't know if they were written by the writers or not, but they felt pretty all right, man. I liked them, and I felt like what was happening. Besides, there were some things where they kind of set up some stuff that they're written by the same writers. Okay, perfect.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there's some moments that are like, oh, here's a little thing that ties into Korra. Here's a little thing that ties into, something that might happen in the future that we hint at or whatever. But for the most part, no, they were really cool arcs that I think also, wrapped up some good questions about the world that I mean, I didn't finish Korra, but from 2 seasons, there's definitely a bunch of stuff that I'm like, hey, all the characters you loved and all the things like not only what happened to them, but how did the world go from here to there, there's things like whatever happened to Azula, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was pretty solid. Like, so the first one, The Promise, is basically just a setup where Avatar so Aang has defeated the Fire Lord, and now we've got ostensibly a situation where peace should be like possible, right? Yay. Zuko can Fire Lord it up and make it so that the Fire Nation is not so shitty and all that. So let's start trying to govern and fix these problems.
He's such a fucked up fucking ask. Hey, you guys, you were all about conquest and war for like your whole life. All right, new management.
Yeah.
No more of that.
Peacetime,
Just
right?
quit it.
Peacetime, literally. Yeah, literally the harmony movement, right?
I wonder if there's a different, a historical anecdote in the real world that has like a basis for that.
Get this, right? So the Fire Nation, as it's been fucking rampaging and colonizing for the last fucking century plus, has a bunch of colonies in all over the map, and many of them are in the Earth Nation.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like, so the Earth Nation's like, yo, give us our land back, right? And the Fire Nation is like, no,
I don't wanna.
We don't wanna. And then Zuko's like, hey, well, peace now, right? So here's what we gotta do. We gotta go in and, figure that out. Make sure that they get all that back, and we get rid of the colonies and stuff. And you kind of, and it's interesting because I guess with newer colonies it's like one thing, but when you get there and it's like, here's a colony of people that are earth and firebenders that have been living together for a century
harmoniously,
and but literally the roots are tied together. There are like families that are both. And
so what you're telling me is that Aang, which the fuck, someone help me, is it Ong or Aang? Aang. Okay, Aang and the gang go down, and they find that Worf is there, and the prison colony of the Romulans and the Klingons have actually created a new society, and they have Romulan and Klingon mixed children.
Oh.
And they don't, but now they don't know what to do, because if they break them out of the no.
They're reproduction are compatible with each other?
Yeah,
Okay.
just don't worry about that in Star Trek. It's fucking stupid.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, exactly, right? So it's just like, all right, split this shit up. You guys get out of here. You stay here. And it's like, okay, but now there's a bunch of mixed kids that are like, what?
I don't know where I don't fit in our society.
Like, oh no, this is not a Nickelodeon problem. You know? So I was like, that's interesting, right? And then, you know, it's like, and it's not just Zuko, and then like Aang's like, no, we gotta, you gotta fucking, we gotta separate everything, make it peaceful. And then it's like, but do ya? And he's like, shit, I don't know. And then it's like, hey, let's go ask previous avatars, what do you guys think? And it's like, yeah, I'm from the old school, so I'm just racism all the time. Really. I think that's a great solution.
I think one of the funniest things about Avatar: The Last Airbender is that we're supposed to look at like, hey, Aang, how are you going to deal with? Oh, you know what? You contact your past lives; they'll help you. And he contacts like a multitude of past lives, and so does Korra. And the shit they tell them is universally unhelpful and usually directly harmful.
Yeah, no, summon the ghost of the fucking founding fathers. And it's like, yes, no, here's exactly what we meant by a well-armed militia. We didn't mean this. And it's like, well, thank you. Awesome. And with that well-armed militia, you can have your slaves take care of all the cleaning of the guns and make sure that everything's up. Thank you, founding father. All right,
Kiyoshi,
gotta go.
What
Bye.
do I do about this land dispute? Kiyoshi says, kill everyone who disagrees with you and don't stop until you're done. Thanks, Avatar Kiyoshi. Right? I appreciate that.
And it's like, cool. Who else is saying that? The previous Fire Lord? Literally? So, yeah. It's exactly that, right?
Oh, what's the fire guy right before Aang?
Ozai?
No. Before the fucking Avatar, the fire dickhead. What the fuck was his name? Roku.
Oh, Roku.
Hey, Roku. Hey, what should I do? Guy who directly allowed every problem in the series to happen.
Oh, yeah, it's really.
It's all the idea of asking him for advice is so outrageous. It's literally his fault. All of it, the whole thing.
So. That's kind of what is happening is Aang is sitting there going, hey, man, you got any past wisdom for me? And he's like, yeah, I sure do. Here's the way things are and here's the way they've been. Let's go. Run it that way. And Aang's like, fuck this, man. Like, thanks, Grandpa. All right. And then it's like literally just like, okay, time to never talk to that ghost again. Like, it's, so it's
hey, man, really... Okay, Wooly. You can solve an ethnically diverse, highly tensious land argument, and the only two ghosts you can talk to are Hitler and Neville Chamberlain. They're the only two you can talk to.
Yeah. The previous avatars. No, so that's exactly it. Is just like everyone that came before you is like, dude, I don't know, apartheid works, man, and you're like,
work for me.
You're like, yeah, it did up until then, right? Sure. Worked, quote unquote. So it's a bunch of children trying to solve fucking non-child problems, race relations, apartheid, borders, because a bunch of power children have to lead nations. What the fuck are we talking about here? I was like, I thought that was a very cool way to like immediately solve you killed the bad, or you didn't kill him, sorry, you beat the bad guy. Yay, everyone, good wins and good triumphs. Now what, So yeah, it was.
I'm a big fan of like the hero solving the problem, and then the method in which they solve the problem leaves them a much more difficult problem to solve that they can't punch.
Right. And of course, like, they have points and the people that are protesting have their points, and then the friends themselves that are all on the side of justice are like seeing different things and being like, yeah, but what about this side or that side? And of course, like with all of this, you also have what I like, which is of course the buildup that'll foreshadow for the future. So when
the eventual solution is annex them turn them into their own fucking country that ignores all of this shit.
But like it does stuff like, so it's like, you know, Aang is like looking at a Fire Nation dude, mayor, and like a Earth Nation lady that are like a couple, and being like, yeah, we got to split them up, man. We got to get them apart from each other. We got to give it back. Get the Fire Nation out. We got to do
Cats
that.
and dogs
yeah.
living together. What the
right?
fuck?
That's crazy. That's wild. Separate them. Anyways, Katara, you hot Water Nation lady, get over here and kiss my Air Nation mouth.
Let's make some fucking mixed babies
Right?
that have superpowers.
Exactly.
And it's a coin flip as to what kids get what fucking superpower, because that's what I'm doing.
You can't get those two nations apart, but these two nations are
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I mean, it's different, man. I gotta spread the seed because the Air Nation, right? We all it's my duty.
And exactly, you know, and then like Katara's like, dude, that's literally just us. What the fuck are you doing?
Nah, man, it's totally different.
So
it's different because I had arcs in the Fire and Earth Nations where tons of people in the government tried to kill me. So I have a weird hang up on that.
So it's interesting because it's almost like if you take the trajectory of the original animated series, you could almost be like, so Apartheid good, right? Like
I think
four
the
nations
funny,
of different
like,
powers, and then
you know
the
what this
evil
makes
one
me
needs
think
to
of?
be defeated so that we can return to harmony, and everyone stays on their own sides, like Time Cube has predicted.
I think
never shall they mix.
What kills me about this is that what it makes my brain autocorrect to is like the core theme of Naruto is the only way you can stop a bad guy with eugenics is a good guy with better eugenics.
Yes, exactly. Eugenics from love as opposed to eugenics from science.
Like,
and
oh no, eugenics is really powerful. How are we gonna? Oh, you know what? We can eugenics it too, but we can eugenics it even better. Hard work. Shut up. Arrange these good marriages to make super babies.
Instead of cutting out people and removing, you know, the bad, just take your power kid and find that other power kid and just shove them on a
and you know
date
what?
together.
He's not gonna perform as good as the other power kid. You know what you do? Performance enhancing drugs, aka insert a fox demon in there.
Baby.
Just
juice it up.
Juice the baby.
Juice the baby
with Captain America Ninja Super Serum.
Now we're talking. Right.
Reminds me, I remember hearing that Captain America was like specifically disincentivized in like I think it was the 70s and 80s because people pointed out like this is a superhero whose superpower is doing steroids.
Yes.
Like during the steroid scandals, it's like Captain America is a man-made superhuman that did a bunch of drugs in the war and got really big.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's also why one of those bits where it's like, you know, Red Skull is like, you are the perfect Aryan. What are you doing? You know, like there's a little bit of that, like, yeah, you are artificial, but what do you do with it? And you know, and also we can never ever do it again unless we need a dramatic moment in 13 years later. But anyway, no. So I enjoyed that as a problem that the children had to face, and then.
Hey, Nickelodeon kids, can you solve the Israeli-Palestine conflict?
You want to give it a shot? Go ahead.
No?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard? Hard, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What, you gonna blow a little wind bubble at it? You gonna tell everyone to just feel their feelings?
Is Appa gonna fly over Gaza and figure it out? Not quite, man. Not quite.
Soka, I don't think your trusty boomerang will save us from this one.
Mr. Boomerang will not solve the problem. I don't think. Yeah. So, anyways, you get that, right? You get that as the setup for the immediate post bad guy defeated crisis, which again,
you know, the destruction of the air temple was an inside job, right?
and who's funding the Fire Nation? Are there
Lizard people.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Are there ties from? All right. Look. So.
All right.
I don't know, man. Aang flies a hang glider, and I saw a hang glider this weekend, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. So, but just
wait, hold on. You just saw a hang glider this weekend?
Never mind. The point is this: is that we love it with the bit of, it's almost like, yeah, the superhero that is great at fighting and beating the bad guy, but he's terrible at being a parent. He's terrible at ruling. He's terrible at figuring anything else out. And this,
I thought it was really great how fucking we had the bit in Korra where they're like, yeah, Aang sucked as a dad. Terrible. Dog shit.
So that's a nice like first issue to take on there. And also there's a bit of that, like, you know, as we've talked about with Clive, it's like, hey man, how are you gonna, what do you stab in the face to make all that bearer mother not be like, oh, fuck my own baby, that thing sucks, get it out of me, right? How do you fix that problem by stabbing a god in the face? You can't.
Here's where media and some forms of history paint a really disturbing solution, where in many stories the solution was, you know, you wouldn't have this problem if you had gotten everybody. Like that was the mistake, right? And you're like, I don't feel comfortable even having this discussion, media. And then the media says, no, think about it.
Yeah.
If there's no one left to take revenge, then what is it? It's like, all right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it and for what it's worth, it's interesting because it's like you're setting up like a very difficult solution, a very difficult problem without clear solutions, but it does manage to stick a landing that I think makes sense for the world of Avatar. That is like, okay, yeah, kids, you do have to effectively find new ways to solve this that can't just be about ancient wisdom, because sometimes the ancient wisdom of the past was fucking garbage. It was great for the problems they had at their time, but solving the way the world works when things change, when dynamics change, and when, you know, the people that are victims here are not the same circumstances as the people who are the ancient wisdom applies to, they can't fathom the intricacies of what you're looking at. So you got to figure it out in a new context. You can't just look to the past and always expect it'll be forever wisdom, you know, which is awesome because, yeah, old paper is only so useful up to a point, as you know, we see every single fucking day now.
I just realized that the whole spiel I did about you got to get all of them, I accidentally described the plot of Yakuza 2, where that's the game's core theme, which is, should you have gotten rid of all of them? Or is that more evil than letting them stay to do secret Korean shit? Like, there are characters that will look each other in the eyes and going, should you have killed every Korean? And he goes, I don't know. Maybe I should have.
I see.
That game is crazy.
We have a strenuous piece, but it was really just a fake piece while revenge was being plotted in the background because you didn't.
Wow, you actually, yeah, no, that's yeah, no, exactly, like literally exactly. And then you get to the end, and you're like, I don't know what Kiryu even thinks.
Yeah. Are you yeah, and it is a very interesting question. I mean, this was a subject of like one of the mecha graphic novel I never fucking made, but just like the
oh yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Are you entitled to revenge, and if so, to what degree, and when does it stop? Does it ever stop, or do you always have a justified, you know, means to carry out what was injustice at the time?
If I remember correctly, the way that broke down was, do you keep getting to have revenge now?
Yeah.
What about now?
Okay. How about now? Okay, all right, no. Wait.
And
Let's Yeah. Okay, you know what? Grab the timeline and just throw it. Just go as far as you. Okay, how about now? Is revenge still good to? Okay, gotcha. Right, and so it's like that the agony of that. Exactly. It's incredibly fascinating and fucking uneasy. You know, so it's a subject matter that I love. Now, the second series book is The Search, which much more simplified. Hey, where's Zuko's mom?
That's a good question.
That's it. So let's go find out what happened there, you know? And that's much more suited for Nickelodeon Kid Adventures. It's like, oh,
tell me where my mom is.
Let's just get the gang back together and go find mom, because all of that, you know? Whoo, all right. And so, yeah, and that's a much more straightforward, and it also leans into stuff that, like, you know, the stuff that comes out of there is like, it's like Avatar introduced like spirit stuff a little bit sparingly, and then had these, but there was some major stuff around it, and then Korra was like hard into the spirits.
Yeah, a little bit too much, I think.
And so what they kind of did here is, like, I guess, bring more of that aspect in, seeing as the spirit realm is going to tie into the future in a more significant way. It starts to tie into Avatar in a more significant way, to answer some of those questions. So, yeah, you know, I felt it felt like I watched the season, you know, or an arc of the story, and
I have words to say about that second season of Avatar with the Korra.
Oh, wait,
did you? On. How much of the Korra did you watch?
2 of 4.
2 of 4? Okay, yes. That's enough. Yo, Korra, you're fucking a dog on this one, man. You really fucked it all up.
Yeah, so, you know, again, we touched on this a bit when I first brought up finishing that second season, and again, I feel like I'm in the minority opinion on this. I didn't have the amount of hatred for what I saw in that second season so far compared to everyone else, and that's fine. You know, the main factor was the, like, breaking down, like, the equivalent of the wills and the midichlorians and how they work and shit like that, how the magic works, so to speak. I thought that was interesting to see. I didn't mind finding out the exact anatomy of the Avatar state. I thought it was cool, but again, I get it. I haven't finished it. There's more to learn and to figure out, and I'm sure there might be details that change, but from the midpoint, at the very least, it didn't seem to be that bad.
But, hey, I'll tell you what, season 3 has a lot of fucking weird ass, cool ass action shit in it.
Yeah,
that third season has a lot of the wipeouts. Yeah. Wipeouts happening.
But I'm just like, the last time I brought this up, it was weeks of, like, fucking Korra takes and shit. I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to fight any battles.
You know,
if you hated it, that's fine. I didn't think it was.
It's really fascinating to me to see what characters people like. Okay, over the course of my internet notoriety, I have discovered that people care a lot about many things. And sometimes they take the things that you say personal, and it kind of hurts their feelings. In that context, it's really interesting to see what specific characters or things people get just really, really attached to. Like, I've seen people defend Korra like she's a real person. She's not. She's a written character that the writers wrote. Whenever you complain about Sakura from Naruto, you're actually complaining about Kishimoto, right? You're not like, Sakura's not a real person that has feelings that you can hurt. You're complaining about the writer. If I complain about Jill's portrayal in FF16, I'm complaining about the writer and the director not giving her enough to do, or, you know, whatever. I don't like, you know. But Korra, man, people like it's their daughter or their sister or something. Just like, how could you talk to Miss Korra? Like, cause she fucking killed reincarnation for a whole planet. Holy shit. You botched it, lady.
I also have well, perhaps it's past at this point since I haven't finished and I haven't gone back to it, which I would need to do with Punch Mom. But um, the there's definitely a honeymoon phase of like, I think it's just awesome to see the setting continue, and like that thing I love of like the setting plus time is a it's a there's a like a buff, a glaze that I enjoy of like seeing that, yeah, of seeing like not only that setting continue, but like seeing it continue with characters that are aged or up from the original as well, and so I always am gonna love the fact that they did that and went in that direction with it. And then I guess it's just gonna come down to what are the things these characters do, and what decisions is she gonna make, and how justifiable or not justifiable will they be. But
I think that
so
Avatar,
far didn't mind it.
I think at Avatar as a series discovered like I'm going to say like a writing trap for people in terms of dealing with characters, and that is I don't know if you remember, but like in the lead up to Korra, like when they're explaining who Korra is, they said, well, Aang was an emotionally mature child, right? He was smart, he was bright.
He didn't start that way, but you got to watch him figure out how to become more emotionally mature.
Right, but specifically what he needed to learn is how to fucking do Avatar shit. Right? As a person, the writers viewed him as like a bright and smart person that was like emotionally mature, regardless of him being a child, right? I'm describing an interview that I read before the thing came out. Then they take Korra and they said that Korra is emotionally immature, but can do all of the Avatar stuff. She can fight like crazy, but she is hot-headed, she is reckless, etc.
Yeah, she is hot-headed and reckless in a way that is more aggressive than Aang's kind of like more carefree nature. But Aang was also emotionally like he would also like fly off and not be sure how to handle his feelings, and he'd have these moments where he would like crack. And a big part of the struggles he had was don't enter the Avatar state when you're not in a calm state of mind, right? He had to learn how to enter it from a good place and not from a place where you're all wound up, because then the actions you do are awful ones.
But what I mean is, as an 11-year-old, Aang was a lot more put together emotionally and spiritually than Korra is as an 18-year-old. By comparison to their ages.
Yes.
Right?
True. For the age difference, yes, absolutely.
That's the point that this interview was making with one of the writers. And what you discover is that Aang, when he acted like, a kid or emotionally mature, it was appropriate for his age.
For his age, yeah.
Right? And so he's learning how to fight. You go to Korra, is a character who knows how to fight and do all the magic shit, but because she's hot-headed, reckless, and emotionally immature, she makes mistakes. The viewer says, but Aang wouldn't have made those mistakes. And then they get angry. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Right. Yeah.
It's frustrating because despite they're different characters of the series, the emotional maturity starts to go down.
Yeah. Now, of course, there are people that are 4 times Korra's age that are 4 times shittier. You know what I mean? So, like, you would hope that you learn to be a bit more mature about things and handle problems that have people's lives at stake in a manner that is, like, not completely just like, this is what I feel and that's what's going to determine the outcome, end of story. But, yeah, all this, but yes, of course, however you choose to write her is, I'm sure, well, I feel like a lot of stories, they'll, like, start with a template, and then kind of like write themselves in up to a place where they have an idea of where they want to go, but you'll figure it out on the fly, right? So anything that she does that has consequences might not have been thought out outside of like the end state needs to be, this is the new villain, this is the new conflict we're going to deal with in this season.
I also think that one of the weirder things is like considering how much like Avatar the first show made a big deal of like the should I kill people or not, and like moving on even to the books that you're reading, like I remember this was coming out alongside Steven Universe, and it was really strange to have all this media going like, I bet you like here's hoping the villains just kill themselves because I'm not going to do anything about it.
Now something that's to bring it back to what I was talking about with the comics, something interesting in the search, of course, is like, okay, so Azula sucks. And
has to go,
right?
The idea that you said, here's what happens to Azula, as implying that it's not just put her in the dirt. Holy shit, dude.
And this is the wild part, is like, it's like, okay, so Nickelodeon kids, right? The whole struggle, exactly. Should you kill the bad guy? He's an evil man. He's a full grown ass evil man. All right, now there's an evil child. Do you just fucking
surely we can kill
out
guilty children?
Do you just wipe out the guilty children? You know, and it is like, it's interesting because I'm like, yeah, if your premise is that you gotta give them a shot, right? Then let me see you stretch this premise to its conclusion. And in the search, right, you kind of get, so it's like Azula's here and you're like, oh my god, okay, we're gonna try to deal with this. What is the right thing to do with someone that fucking shitty? And if it's not offing them, then what, right? And there's like that, Zuko's like, hey man, I was pretty shitty too, and you watched me figure it out. But
you weren't that shitty, Zuko.
But let's give it a second, you know? And then Azula's like, ah! And he's like, okay. And they're like, and then the crew is like, dude, I don't know, man. It's no, she's my sister, dude. No. Okay, let's go, you know? And then she's like, ah! And they're like, he's like, okay. And they're like, dude, I don't, like, they're like, it's one of these things where he's like, give her another chance. And then she freaks the fuck out. And they're like, dude, no. And she's like, don't give her another. And like, it keeps happening.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, oh, she's just like, she's broken, you know? And
yeah,
then
there's a huge issue here. This is like I forget who termed it, or if I'm just inventing this in my mind, but I think of it in my own head as the X-Men problem, where you're like, who is the X-Men supposed to be? The X-Men are supposed to be a representation of societies like underclass or visible minority, or on the outskirts of society, right? And they're the recipients of prejudice, right? Mm-hmm. But Wolverine has fucking claws in his hand you can't take away from him.
You can't do it.
And fucking Cyclops has a fucking like cannon strapped to his eyeballs. So making the fucking comparison being like, man, the X-Men are fighting for their right to exist. It's just like gay people. No, it's not. Gay people don't have guns in their arms from birth. That's not a thing. And Azula's the same way. Like, oh, can you rehabilitate a really damaged 14-year-old? Not one that's a human gun. You can start by taking her human gun away and see what you get from that. Yes. But that bitch would stab a baby if the baby said goo goo gaga water temple or whatever. Like, that bitch is crazy.
Yes, no. A gay person with the ability to rewrite reality. With the ability to control the concept of ice, which is the absence of heat, which is actually work, and force, which is energy, which is how all life like fucking flourishes, which is the second law of thermodynamics. It's
you can't
the
like,
ability to fuck with that. Yeah,
it's not the same.
No.
If we lived in the world of X-Men, yeah, people would be fucking terrified of mutants.
Yeah.
You get a little anxiety in your tummy when you see a guy at the store carrying a revolver on his hip, What about Mr. Eye-Beams or
Right.
Mr. can make all the metal attack you?
Now, so for the purposes of the story, right? Azula's like, ah! And she's throwing lightning bolts, and Zuko's like, fuck, god damn it, I can catch your lightning, idiot. Stop it. Anyways, would we, and like it's this great thing where like you're pushing the level of reasonable patience to its extreme limits, to beyond the point where anyone would accept, and you're dealing with kids, right? That's the main through line here. And you just kind of, you hit a point where it's like, okay, it doesn't matter how many of these redemption style moments, because I mean, again, Zuko, while having not done anything as bad as she did, had what was great about his story is, and what we always remember is, it's not just the road to redemption, right? It's the key part to me, at the very least, was when you were almost there and then you had a chance to take everything you ever wanted by throwing out the road that you were just on. By abandoning this path to redemption, you have an opportunity to take everything you ever wanted right here offered to you, and you're like, fuck me, I still want it. Something deep inside me still wants it, and I'm going to switch back over, right?
Yeah, I want it.
And that moment where Iroh shuts down on him, like, that's the real. That's what made me go, this show is fucking amazing. Because the simple path back that's that's no winding turns, and where you don't actually get a chance at a better outcome for yourself, is easy, because you're like, well, I want this path back, not only because I feel bad about what I did, but probably because I'll feel better of the guilt in my head, whatever the case is. But if you have the chance to abandon it for the fucking temptations of beforehand and then some,
I think the point you're making here is perfect, because the struggle that you see in Zuko, and even though he fucks it up, like he fucks it up for a whole season, right? He makes the wrong choice, but you see the struggle and the back and forth, it humanizes him and makes you go, okay, you know what? He just needs to be put in the right place in the right circumstances. Azula has no struggle. She doesn't even want the other stuff.
So again, this is just going further into like how busted she is, right? In the comic, it goes into these moments, and then after like the fourth time or so, that everyone is like, I swear to God, kid, like, if she weren't your sister, like, right? And he's trying to like walk it back in a way. You cut over to like see what she sees from her perspective, and it's like, she had no chance, right? She's like legitimately like not even fucking experiencing reality in the same way that like other people do. Like she's.
So I have a very important question, because it will color the entirety of every discussion about Azula here. When Zuko's like, I can fix her, or I can improve her, or whatever, right? We can do something here. In between the first attempt and anything, is there one fatality that can be ascribed to Azula? Because during the treatment or fixing her process, if this results in a fatality, the whole thing becomes totally moot.
Exactly, right? There isn't.
Because it would be really simple if
it
she
would be
got out and killed somebody.
Simple. If one person goes, this child is erased from existence. We're done. That's it. There's no struggle here. You've clarified the situation. You've almost made it easier for us to do what we need to do, right? But there isn't. And it's
darn.
like, you gotta fight, so that you fight along this shitty ass path, right? And then you go inside and you go, how broken? You go completely broken, right?
And then you get to have the conversation of like, can you watch her every minute of the day?
Exactly. And then you're like, not only are you're basically dealing with a child that, in addition to being raised evil and having no moral compass whatsoever, she's paranoid schizophrenic, right?
Cool.
There's just nothing. It's like, you're like, fuck, there was no other outcome here, So
I'm torn, because I don't think that the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender has a lot going on in terms of psychotherapy or psychopharmacology. They do have some of that spirit shit.
So,
but
once again, right? This follow-up like story, which is again simpler enough in that it's like, hey, let's go search for mom, is presenting another aspect which is far beyond Nickelodeon children's ability to handle necessarily. Now, it's not a major. It's not it's not like Fix Azula is the plot point per se.
Yeah.
But it's happening in
is
the
it
background.
like the B plot? I guess
It's a B plot. It's a strong B plot, and like there's other details coming out about like the Fire Nation history and yada yada and so on. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, yo, Zuko, you're staring at yourself, but way worse, and also like unfixable. Now what? And
but I could be saved. You were never this bad.
Like,
even you walking around with like your fucking child abuse burn ass face were never as fucked up as this bitch.
Can I find? Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like he's like trying to compensate, and he became that asshole as a result of like always being seen as like not hard enough, whereas she was just like always above and beyond and rewarded for that level of cruelty. But anyway, so yeah, it is another interesting aspect to this world that I was like, huh, okay, because if you're gonna take on the idea of like she's a shit child and nobody dies in this world no matter what they do or whatever, you're gonna need to back that up, or at the very least show me how you stretch this rationale to its conclusions, and so just like they stretched the apartheid discussion out for the first one here, you're stretching out this concept of like the redemption that Zuko can have. How much of that applies further to other characters, and at what point do you write it off and at what point do you don't? So I don't know what the third arc goes into with the Rift. I'm going to need to read that. But again, if you liked Avatar, these little bridging post stories are a fun read for that. While also doing things that, set up the world of Korra.
I have kind of a stupid question. But it's like a nomenclature question. You refer to them as books.
Yes.
Are they books or are they comics?
So I'm going to hold up a physical hard graphic novel. This is a Korra art book in particular, but it's the same size, same type of book, and it's collecting a number of individual trade issues that were loose and then into one bound book. It's a graphic novel.
Okay, I find the actual terminology about this is actually like really, really terribly unclear.
Okay,
I'm not super big into comics, but like graphic novel has always been like a shitty term. I felt like it's trying too hard to be.
No. I disagree, because it's like, so bande dessinées, like BDs would exist and they would describe like things like Tintin and stuff, and you kind of are like, but it's really just saying comic book with a different country's words.
Right. Just like anime is fucking a French loan word.
Yeah, and I mean, and whatever, manga is just describing not just the medium, but like the place and the style within it, right? So the graphic novel is just, it's a Western comic book collected into a hard or sometimes soft cover, but it's just a bound thicker book, and in some cases, like it's written as a there are no issues, it's just a long read. But sometimes it's an omnibus, right? The collection of each part.
So I just want to be clear. It's like, and this is not to shit on you specifically, Wooly, because you are definitely not the only person I've talked to. But I have run into a situation in which people go, "Oh, I'm loving this new book I'm reading," and then I find out that it is a picture book.
Okay,
and that's not what I think of when I think of a book. I think of a book as having no picture.
Gotcha. Okay. That yes, I would say comic book. I suppose I'm assuming that probably people in the audience are familiar with Avatar and might have heard that there were Avatar comics, so I just kind of said that as a shorthand. But yes, it is a comic book that is collected into 3 hardcovers or so. Yeah.
Because I was like, this whole time we've been talking,
you thought it was like a novel?
Really surprised that there was enough material to write like 400 to 600 pages of novella 3 times in a row.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking like Wheel of Time book,
Right. No. I meant.
And I'm like, wow, that's more than the original seasons would have contained.
No. I meant comic book. Yeah. Sure. So, that's the.
You go for 100 pages of I don't know if we should fucking kill Azula.
It's yeah. So I want to track down the rift and see what it's about. But it's fun to see that, and it's fun to see Toph just fucking being Toph and being awesome. She rules. And it's like,
Toph, also a bad parent.
But Toph, it's like, wait, that fucking wild ass freaky like gremlin taught people how to bend metal? Really? How did she become a teacher? and the answer here is very, very poorly.
Yeah. Like, if I remember correctly, Toph's like teaching style is just do it, pussy. Just do it harder.
Straight up, actually. To which goofy ass Sokka shows up and is like, okay, I'm an asshole too, but like I think I can help here, maybe. Let's figure this out. But you get to see Toph being an awful teacher at the same time, which makes sense because why the fuck would she not be? God, she's the best. So yeah, and then just like, hey, I'm the greatest ever. Why aren't you? Fucking do it.
Was the greatest ever at like 8 years old. You're like an adult. What is your excuse?
And you're just and the problem is like there is no counter argument. The son of a bitch is right. She's absolutely
I'm sorry
right.
I wasn't taught by blind moles in a cave.
She's the fucking best. Now what? You jerk. Yeah. So good stuff. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, gonna try to track that down. Shout outs to Min recommended.
What do we do with Azula? That speaks to me so much more than the colony plot because it's so unsolvable.
No, Now I don't want to overstate that.
I know.
It is a B plot, but I liked that it kept coming back up, and every time it happened, like Zuko looks back to the group of kids that are just like. Yeah, it was good. All right, let's take a quick break.
It's time for piss,
and we'll be right back. All right. Quick word from our sponsors. This week, the podcast is sponsored by Stitch Fix. Are you wearing clothes right now? If you...
Yeah, I am.
Okay. If you can hear me and you're wearing clothes, this is for you. That clothes you're wearing could be better.
It could be.
Do people have to see you in your clothes?
Unfortunately.
Damn. Then that, if you are like 99% of people, people will have to behold you and your choices. And let's be real, sometimes those choices aren't great. Also, shopping sucks. Spending hours going through crowded stores or just browsing for whatever the perfect outfit is going to be for you. If you don't know what it's going to be, if you don't know what works for you or anything like that, why bother with it? Stitch Fix is all about getting you the clothing as that fashion experts can figure out. You fill out a simple quiz, and you set up your tastes, your sizes, your budget, and people who are experts, their entire careers are dedicated towards making you look good, are going to send you some clothing that is the best options that you can combine together. Did you know you can match things? Did you know that matching clothing is a thing?
You mean like put on a shirt and also pants?
And also pants. It's wild. So the combos they send you will be pretty slick, and there's over 1,000 brands and styles that do the work for you. You basically get a fix delivered. You pick what you like, and if you don't like what you get, you send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. And that's it. You know, they're gonna make you look good. You're gonna keep what looks good, and send back what you don't like. That's all there is to it. Real simple. Stitch Fix.
I'm wearing real pants today, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah. No, don't think. Just get the thinking part where you have to decide what to wear out of the equation. Call Stitch Fix. They get me, and they'll get you too. Try it today. Stitchfix.com/superbeast. You'll get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. So again, that is stitchfix.com/superbeast. And you'll get 25% off when you keep everything in your fix. Stitchfix.com/superbeast. Thank you, Stitch Fix.
Thanks, Stitch Fix.
The podcast this week is also sponsored by HelloFresh, the easiest way to get good tasting food right to your doorstep. Hello. Fresh?
Oh, no, you got me. You got me with the old HelloFresh.
Skip trips to the grocery store. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Yeah, if you want to keep your time not wasted, if you're too busy with what's going on, keeping a schedule with dinner time can be rough.
Do you believe it's actually really hard to find time to go grocery store when baby be like, feed me, hug me?
It's crazy. The time that it takes to go get the food is a problem because the food needs to already be there.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this problem? We'll cut out the getting the food step because HelloFresh can ship you delicious ingredients straight to your door, and you can put them together to make something delicious from over 40 recipes every week. A variety of in-season ingredients, fresh. The box comes, everything in it is cold and ready to go. Simple steps you can follow. You follow the card, 1, 2, 3. Bam, you got dinner ready to go.
Cards are like oh my God. Like the ingredients are very good, but the card is like oh my God, this is the best invention. Because
Right?
HelloFresh didn't invent food, but they did invent those incredible recipe cards.
Yeah. If you told me like, hey, go make an apple cider cake with caramel sauce, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. How about that?
No, that's not what you would do. You would go,
And, but thanks to HelloFresh and the HelloFresh market, you can just get stuff like that ready to go. You know, it's a perfect opportunity as well if you want to get in on something seasonal. Mini pumpkin cheesecake. That's an October meal going on right there. You get some. Well, it can be. Yeah. So anyway, HelloFresh is the best way to get you some fresh ingredients and save you some time. Go to hellofresh.com/50superbeast and use code 50superbeast to get 50% off plus free shipping.
Set off.
That's hellofresh.com/50superbeast and use the code 50superbeast and you're going to get 50% off plus free shipping. That's America's #1 meal kit. Thank you, HelloFresh.
I love you, HelloFresh.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by Raycons. Getting yourself into more activity out there. If you're moving around, if you want to listen to things on the go, you want to get wireless solutions in your life. And Raycons wireless premium headphones are going to be one of the best ways to do it. They've got an anniversary sale in particular going on right now. Raycon's turning 6, and they've made a name for themselves in the premium audio space. So they've got the everyday earbuds that you can get, delivering high-quality audio and features like 32-hour battery life, perfect in-air fit, lasting comfort all day, half the price of premium brands, and that's why they've racked up over 78,000 5-star reviews. They've also expanded their entire business with the introduction of Raycon Home and Raycon PowerTech, so there's a lot for them to celebrate. Check them out. Thanks to everyone who's shown support over the past 6 years, Raycon's offering 20% off everything on their site, with select products up to 40%. That is the Raycon anniversary sale. So celebrate Raycon turning 6 with their biggest sale of the year going on right now. Hurry over to buyraycon.com/superbeast and use the code BIRTHDAY to get 20 to 40% off site-wide. Once again, that's code BIRTHDAY at buyraycon.com/superbeast, and you're going to get 20 to 40% off. buyraycon.com/superbeast. Thank you, Raycon.
Thanks, Raycon.
All right, what is going on this week? Well,
John Riccitiello is out.
Tell you what. Yeah, layoffs and lawsuits appears to be the entirety of the events of the week, and we
video games. Fuck that. Get fired.
And starting with the breakingest news, John Riccitiello stepping down as CEO and president of Unity. That just happened right now. Not much other details besides that. It's, of course, important to remember that there's a board of assholes behind him that,
Wooly,
that are still there.
I was really upset about the Unity changes and how they tried to fuck over everybody. But then they walked those changes back, and the person who was 100% responsible for every single part of those changes, John Riccitiello, is now gone. So I can go back to trusting Unity. Oh, thank goodness. Now the only person responsible, the CEO, is gone. So everything is back to being normal. And I don't have to worry about taking my game off Unity anymore.
The Fire Lord was defeated. There are no longer any problems left to solve.
Someone in that company thinks the scenario I just described is reality.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, that someone's is Tomer Bar-Zeev and Shlomo Dorvat. Or Dovrat.
I didn't think you were going to have names ready.
Those are the someones you're talking about.
Oh, man.
So, more as it develops. But, hey, you fucking annihilated all goodwill and trust within 24 hours. And then the walk back has been just even though people at the end of the day kind of land somewhere where your planned outrage expected them to, Doesn't matter.
Hey, man. I'm excited to welcome John Riccitiello as the new whatever the fuck it's Sony that guy just left.
Oh fuck, he's gonna replace Ryan? Yeah. Oh boy. John walks in the Gorilla walks in the door, slaps down the resume, just takes the seat, still warm.
I used to run EA till they fired me. Then I ran Zynga till they fired me. Then I ran Unity till they fired me.
You're hired. Get out in here.
Dude, I have some friends that worked under Zynga during the Riccitiello era, and they could just yell for hours.
Yeah.
You know what somebody's experience is so negative that you're like, well, what was it like? And you don't get any information because they're too angry to tell you. It's all emotional, and it's just like, whoa, this is my everyday, this motherfucker.
Sounds, yeah. That's, I mean, again, the worst days and the worst moments of QA where people just snapped, kind of just turned into that, for sure. Cool. That's
I'm thinking of Don Matrick and Zynga. My mistake. Oh, Don Matrick also sucks though. So you know what? There's plenty of blame to go around. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I would love to see. At the very least, it would be fun to see the brainstorming session that John Riccitiello at Sony would have it in one meeting. You know, like, we've got a new handheld device that can't be used really as a handheld device. What if you could play games on it separate from the console, but they had to be NFTs?
So you know what my favorite part about that PlayStation Vita, Wii U gamepad pile of shit is that I and you and everybody who looked at that went, that's the most worthless pile of shit ever, failed to account for people outside of ourselves. That thing has actually sold incredibly well despite not being out because we forgot about something. And that's that Sony sells video game shit to Japan, which has internet that makes that thing totally feasible and works really well because the Wi-Fi speeds in Japan are incredible.
So it's
that thing has sold out in Japan.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, smaller living spaces and better internet make that thing work way better.
On pre-order, at the very least, I guess? Yeah. Okay. Well, that still doesn't necessarily say anything about the battery life, how it's going to run, or any of that shit that was
but the core conceit of this thing won't even work.
But the utility of it for a small Japanese space is proving to be popular. Interesting. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We'll see. Is it all scalpers? We'll see.
I don't think anything can always all be all scalpers.
If it's sold out entire, well, I mean, the fucking video cards were. Like, the video, like, you were not talking to a human being at any point that had one of those. Like, yeah. Well, anyway. Interesting counterpoint for that situation. Much like all of our fucking rollback woes and everything else. It's like, yeah, when you're in a situation where the internet actually does what it's supposed to nationwide, you can offer different things, but what use is that going to serve over here remains to be seen. I still don't fucking I can't imagine with garbage internet across.
I'm still kind of mad about Street Pass. Would you believe that? Like,
what? Why is the word Street Pass being uttered in 2020?
Because that was a feature that was made exclusively for a region of the world that didn't really apply elsewhere. Right? Because they would describe, hey man, you can use Street Pass. You'll take it to school, and then you'll come home and you'll have like 30 Street Passes on your thing. And I'm like,
No.
that is not how that's gonna happen at all.
Street Pass is for one thing and one thing only in North America, and that's going to a convention.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Do you remember when people hacked it and were making like pirate radio Street Pass in order to get shit in certain games?
Were they?
They figured out how to like broadcast the Street Pass signal in their own home equipment.
That's crazy. I did not hear about that.
That was wild.
Tournaments and cons are the environment for Street Pass. That's pretty much it. Okay. Anyway, so yes, the first of the layoffs, John Riccitiello, or Riccitiello.
You know what? It's fine.
Johnny R.
That makes me think of something else. All right. Hey.
Yeah. So then there was another story. It's like, okay, well, lawsuits and layoffs. The entire team that was working on QA for Dragon Age Dreadwolf that unionized and were Canada's first union team on that we talked about, I want to say maybe a year or two ago. They've all been laid off.
Oh yeah. Ooh. You know how BioWare keeps coming out and going, guys, we promise the next game that we're making definitely coming out. We promise. And then every single thing you hear about their projects is, hey, we fired more people.
So the details on this in particular are the QA team was actually outsourced from Keywords, which is a name that I recognize because they bought out the QA company I used to test for.
Oh, did they?
Yes. And so once I see that, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, they cleansed. They came through with an absolute butcher knife and just like decapitated entire fucking departments, no question. They used to do that seasonally. But yeah, in this case, that was everyone that was on the unionized team, amongst more as well. So I think it was a team of like 16, but 50 total were all let go. And second detail with that one in particular was a number of them were kind of given some kind of like hurried shitty severance packages.
Oh, well.
Which then everyone kind of compared notes afterwards and went, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit, I bet.
So a number of former BioWare employees are suing for adequate severance.
Good.
In many cases, so the lawyer that's representing the group of employees more or less was saying that like everyone that was let go like had to consider their short term, and so they just took the low end offer because
I just lost my job out of nowhere. I need to make fucking rent.
Exactly. So if you don't have time or energy to sue or figure out a decent solution because you're in a desperate situation, that's what's going to happen. And that happened to a whole group of them. So they all kind of realized that they got fucked afterwards and are now trying to come after that to pursue legal rights. Yeah. And then it also goes on to specify that in Alberta, a number of recently laid off employees were awarded at least a month of severance per year of service with
that
benefits
seems appropriate.
included. And that amount is way, way more than BioWare offered the people in question. So, yeah, they're gonna hit up the lawsuits and figure out what's going on there.
So there's a sentiment that's happening. A couple people have mentioned it in chat, but I feel like the need to mention it because of the way BioWare has like culturally developed their games. Baldur's Gate 3 is like inexorably tied with BioWare. Like BioWare made Baldur's Gate, right? And Larian Studios is a faraway studio in Belgium that is a totally different context. But like, how did Larian develop their game over a really long time, over minimal crunch, according to them, and early access with tons of feedback, right? BioWare, for the past decade, 20 years, has been functioning on like increasing super crunch and BioWare magic, and just like dumping games and not paying attention to them I remember a while ago, like a year ago, remember mentioning it. Like I would not be surprised if a BioWare game never ever came out ever again.
Okay.
And I look at specifically BG3 and what I know of the way BioWare studios work internally and how they redo things and throw things away and start over, that looking at this game, the one that we're both playing, could have a disincentive to continue along Dragon Age's current path, but they're too far along to give up. I don't know. It's a whole... Like, I would love to talk to somebody who works there, how they feel about how Dreadwolf is coming along, which they've been talking about for years and years and years and years and years.
If they're doing something that kind of resembles what Dragon Age always was, and then a Baldur's Gate 3 experience shows you what the evolution of that natural genre should look like.
Well, it's like
halfway through
Dragon Age, that first Dragon Age game is absolutely like a stepping stone in between like the old Baldur's Gate games and the new one. Mm-hmm. And that's when they EA'd and were like, we have to make it harder, faster, better shooter. Like, you know, I mean, you play through the microcosm of that company from Mass Effect 1 to 2 to 3, right?
Right. And KOTOR's with the way they handled that.
Yeah, but and then you look at like, well, this is the game you guys would have been able to make. Like, there's no reason that Baldur's Gate 3 couldn't have come out from BioWare back in, like, the 360 era. Like, there's nothing so outrageous about that game's design and its writing that that company couldn't have made it with the people it still had at the time before they left or got fired.
Perhaps the scale? I feel like the scale would not have been achievable.
So here's the thing. If they had allowed themselves the time to make it, instead of restarting development over and over or forcibly being limited to 18 months, yeah, I bet they could have.
I'll counterpoint though. Like, they're also benefiting from an early access structure which didn't exist at the time.
Yeah, which apparently is a great idea for this genre. It works really well
when you get a lot of people hands-on early enough to see what people are doing with it and so on. Yeah, Xbox 360 and beyond era were like just closed development. Here's what you get, done and done. So, yeah, I think that did a lot for them as well as the early access.
Like, I am absolutely certain that Mass Effect will come out, but like I have not heard anything about Dreadwolf other than staff problems or redone development or delays. Like, I don't think they've officially even released a fucking single screenshot of the game.
And again, though, we're talking about like a third version of BioWare. Like,
well, now it's one BioWare where all the studios work together or some shit.
But it's the ship of double Theseus. It's like it's when all the replacement planks have been replaced. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's happening with all those layoffs. That rolls right around and continues as well into Telltale, who also let go a bunch of employees, and basically were like saying that Wolf Among Us 2 is still being worked on. It's not canceled or anything, but due to marketing conditions, they let go a bunch of their staff, and so
it will not be canceled for at least another 70 days.
Well, whatever the case may be, based on the news from a week or two ago, The Wolf Among Us 2 can absolutely come out. It just might be made by a bunch of fans who then legally have the rights to publish it because Fables is now publicly owned.
I think that, like, discovering the nature that the quarter has in regards to every single thing I care about in terms of media might have been like the most disastrous piece of forbidden knowledge ever. Why the fuck are all these games coming out? Oh, it's only the last week of March. Like, oh, yeah. That's weird. Why this game came out all fucked up on March 29th?
Quarters, bro.
Oh.
Gotta learn what Q2 means. Yeah, Telltale. And then, of course, CD Projekt Red.
Oh, this is great.
Right? After multiple rounds of layoffs in 3 months, the devs have unionized.
And all the crunch resulting from Witcher 2 onwards. That came out of nowhere, which is the best way to unionize. Well, there was not one inkling or word on the street or nothing. It was just like, CD Projekt unionized.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what the Polish union recognition laws are, but assuming that it's similar to the ones we're familiar with, where it's just like, do a majority of the employees want to do it? It's happening.
Right? I bet unions are pretty strong in countries that used to be part of the former Soviet bloc.
You think so?
I bet.
Yeah. You think there's a perhaps a propensity for the concept of a worker co-op to...
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I think there might be some cultural fucking cachet behind that idea. Definitely more than the U.S. anyway.
Like, okay, so when an employee walks in to the office with a hammer and a sickle in hand...
Oh, I see what you're doing.
The moment they strike the two together is the official moment that the union is officially on.
By the way, if you're Polish, feel free to write in to let us know about the realities of this, because I'm actually pretty interested.
No, yeah, we talk about what's happening with Canada and North America a bunch, but... definitely not familiar with how it's going.
Do you know Europe has like more than 5 countries in it?
The fuck you talking about?
It does.
What do you come on. Yeah. You got the 5 languages. You got eFigs.
Yeah, you got eFigs.
eFigs.
Right there.
What are we talking about?
That's the only one. I feel like my joke might have been too inside for most of the audience. So in video games, you test for something called eFigs, which is English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish.
That's it.
So for video games, there are really only 5 countries in Europe.
Yeah. One time we got a project thing that said eFigs DPPI, and it was like, what the fuck is this gibberish? Delete that email. That's crazy. What are you looking for? What? Iberian Spanish? Please.
You know, I maybe you get a kick out of it more than I do, because you've done a lot of tests and I've done literally none. But when I load up a game and I hit the language menu, and not only do I see eFigs, I see both forms of Chinese, I see Japanese, I see Korean, I see Polish, and I see Brazilian Portuguese. I'm like, wow, somebody here gives a shit.
Yep. The full acronym is quite a few more letters. Also, it was wild because depending on the company that had the budget for it, like a Pixar game, you would get like, I remember it wasn't just different versions, it was different actual discs. So we would get the same game, and like each version had a different SKU for its own language. It was wild. It was like Cars or something, you know, unheard of. But yeah, no, the world is made up of eFigs. That's it.
You live in an eFigs world, everybody. I'm sorry.
Pick a flag. My flag's not there. Pick a fucking flag. All right. Yeah. So no, they unionized after rounds of layoffs, and
for them, that company has crunched them in a fucking dirt for like 12 years now, and fired a bunch of them. I'd be fucking mad as fuck after the way Cyberpunk came out, after the fucking studio heads were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, it seems most of the people in question are from the Sirius team.
Okay, that'd be the Witcher 1?
The project, the Witcher project, codename Sirius.
I bet those people don't want to go through another Witcher development cycle. Have you seen the photos of what like the CEO of that company looks like in Witcher 1's dev diaries and what he looks like now?
I've heard. Yeah.
Fully melts into Doc Brown.
Can you just like, it's like dude is just thinking about the days when we can go back to cracking games and putting out a fucking text with some ASCII art, and the hardest decision to make was what's the cool chiptunes song we're gonna play when you open up the crack.
What? No, dude. No, that's not. It's way crazier than that. They're like, oh, I want to go back to the days in which we were broadcasting video games over the local radio.
Oh my god!
For people to pirate over the airwaves.
Oh my god! Fuck, on your audio cassette medium.
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
stupid because I can't remember what fucking was it the Magnavox Odyssey?
MSX could load save files from an audio cassette.
Yeah, so what you would do is you could use a goddamn cassette tape
to play as
a disc drive. And you could just broadcast a whole fucking video game as a fucking piece of music. And you just tape it on your tape deck and then put it into your fucking thing and it would work.
Yes, the stuff. Everyone who's going, that's disco. Disco like is basing that on real life. That exists. Satellaview at home. Yeah, you absolutely had audio cassettes used for more than just listening. Fucking crazy. I mean, at the end of the
stop this piracy, bitches! Like, come on.
In theory, if you got like a large enough device to read it, you could take a God, what's it called? You know when you spin the wheel and then it plays like a little theme, a little tune, and it's like a metal sphere, a metal cylinder with the notes on it.
Oh, fucking music box.
A music box, yeah, but there's a name for the actual thing. Anyway,
the
mechanical aspect of it, precisely.
The mechanism. Why am I Frenching on this one word? Mechanism.
In theory, you could use that to transmit data because it's points of information that So that's fucking crazy. Anyway, CD Projekt as well, and then of course, layoffs and lawsuits would not be complete without some good old sexual harassment and assault. So 5 former Ubisoft employees, the ones that were fired in 2020 when that big ass investigation went down, basically they're just following up, and they are now being charged in France officially with 50 former and current employees' testimonies collected to put them through the legal system and not just the video game system. I'm astonished
that any of these people were arrested.
Well, that's usually the bit is like, hey, a bunch of assholes were found out in the corporate structure, and the punishment is they're fired. All right, moving on.
And then in some cases, rehired by the same company at different studios.
Or, if they're trying to lay low, they'll do the hitman head bob with the hat on and switch.
Hey, you know what you get to go work on? That fucking pirate game that'll never come out.
Sure.
Off to Singapore with you.
Sure, yeah, if you want to. But you can switch industries entirely, whatever, at the end of the case. But, in this particular instance, it seems like there's actual legal action being followed up afterwards. So
that's wild.
Yeah, that's what's happening there.
Hey, I have a piece of news that didn't go through. You know how Epic's buying up a ton of shit all over the place? And everyone's like, this sucks? Do you know they bought Bandcamp?
Oh, didn't they buy Bandcamp a long time ago, actually? Yeah, no, that's not news. In fact,
a long time ago? I'm thinking of...
No, the news was Bandcamp is... Wait, what did I read about that? Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, there's layoffs.
Wait, they sold Bandcamp?
They sold. Yeah, they acquired Bandcamp a while ago. They sold Bandcamp. That was not the.
Fuck.
The news is actually that they're getting rid of it amongst all the other things. So that was not a redirecting of funds. It was a liquidation.
Oh my god, I need to go. because I remember. I'm gonna go have to find this fucking this article. There was something that they bought specifically to use in a lawsuit against Google. My brain told me it was Bandcamp.
Okay.
But I can't remember. I will now go find this.
Okay. Well, they're selling it after 18 months later from their acquisition of it. And, yeah, I don't know what other acquisition there was, but the editorial, design, support, and engineering staff teams unionized. Scrolling. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I didn't hear anything else with that particular aspect of it. But hey, it seems as if the spark of the idea of a bunch of employees being like, "Hey, don't treat us like shit," is actually picking
Here
up
it is.
steam.
They bought Bandcamp back in 2022 specifically so that they could use it in their anti-Google lawsuit that they were having at the time with Fortnite, in which they were saying that Bandcamp having to switch their payment method would have bankrupted it, and so they bought it to use against them in that lawsuit, and then that lawsuit didn't go their way, so they sold it.
I see. Okay.
They bought it to fight
Strategic
Google.
acquisition. Yeah.
Then they lost, and then they sold it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that fucking company was like a pure bargaining
Spite.
chip.
Yeah. Spite buy.
Man, Tim Sweeney is the dumbest motherfucker in the world. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, again, like, I think when the opening salvo is a giant public fucking in-game content, like, battle that is, like, a real legal thing that's happening that should probably be with lawyers in quiet boardrooms, but instead you're trying to galvanize the user base that are getting fucked by both sides to join your team for some reason because Fortnite's popular, and if we can convince everybody in Fortnite to be like, fuck Apple, that'll somehow sway public opinion, you know? Anyway.
Oh, hey, you know what? And before we go in, somebody in the chat asks a really great question.
Nicely
Are we
done.
going to get to the Gollum apology? Yeah, you know what? Sure, fuck it. You remember that Gollum game that was a fucking pile of shit? And then released an apology that was like, we're very sorry that we did bad Gollum game. That apology was written with ChatGPT, and no one on the staff knew about it.
I didn't see this. I did not see this. Okay. So the devs apologized for the game's underwhelming experience back in May. And what's this now? I mean, so this has been happening more and more because what the fuck was it? There's that dude, that ball player.
Pete Rose?
No. Was it Jalen Hurts? No. Anyway, the dude got in trouble for brandishing a gun and like
Fucking.
and then he keeps getting in trouble for doing stupid shit like that or whatever. And basically, like, he apologized to the NBA and like the apology was like ChatGPT fucking completely structured. Ja Morant. There you go. He it was just one of these things where they just straight up were just like, oh god, word for word, this was you found the exact prompt, you know. So this is becoming a thing, dude. Nicely fucking done.
I'm sorry.
Words cannot been to describe. Anyways, so fun stuff going on that way. Not much else really, except for a couple of announcements beyond that type of horseshit. For the first time in 20 years, John Woo has woken up from a coffin when doves flew out of it, and he had two guns crossed like this.
And he said, I'm going to go back to America.
And he jumped through a burning window in slow motion and then landed on a plane and did it. Yeah, he's making a movie. So it's called Silent Night, and it is a dialogue-free action film that is basically just big old John Wick revenge ass fucking revenge. It's called Silent Night, of course, because not only is it a holiday movie, but when the protagonist gets his family Frank castled, he loses the ability to speak.
I see.
And so he then goes on a Punisher-esque quest of revenge.
So is this in any way related to the horror film series Silent Night, Deadly Night?
I don't think it is.
I don't know if you know this, but Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is a classic, as it features a rampage of a man yelling out "Garbage Day."
Garbage Day? I know that. I thought that movie was called Garbage Day.
That is a Christmas horror movie.
If you asked me, hey, you ever seen the movie Garbage Day? I would have been like, no, but I know it. Garbage Day? Well, it should have been called Garbage Day.
It really should have. But no, it's about Christmas.
Okay. No. John Woo's back, and he's doing it.
Good.
The trailer looked like, again, it said from the producers of John Wick, so they're following in that style. I just kind of I saw no doves in that trailer.
Also, in terms of films that people are making, I have to say, somebody who knows his filmography better than me would be able to answer this. Has Miyazaki made more final movies than he has made movies? Because his final movie just came out like a week or two ago, and I'm already seeing him go, I am now going to make one last final movie.
Okay. I might be wrong, but I believe Ponyo was the first of the final movies. Maybe. I think Ponyo was the beginning of the finals. And everything that came post 2008 is the final season, part 3, Attack on Titan. Yeah, exactly. Maybe for real this time, though. For reals.
It's so weird.
Well, maybe he hangs it up and then realizes he has a little bit of spite left in that he didn't know was there. It's like the residue at the bottom of the cup. And he's finding ways to scrape at it and get it out there before he really hangs it up.
You will have to retire and hug and talk to your son. One more movie. Here we go.
I will die in the fucking director's chair. To be fair, so did Kojima, right? Snake Eater was supposed to be the end.
No, it wasn't.
He said
MGS2 was supposed to be the end.
Yeah. No, 3 was when, right. 3... Well,
every Metal Gear Solid game other than the first one is the final Metal Gear Solid game.
3, the trailer for 3 was when he did the director's chair bit in the beginning to be like, oh, he's coming out of retirement to direct MGS3, back when no one knew anything about this weird dude and thought, and he's acted as if everyone knew he was retired at that point, when it's like, why the fuck would he be retired? He made two games that we've heard of, and again, not a huge popularity spike for going back to the old Metal Gears at that time either.
It is. So you remember reading articles where Kojima was like, this is definitely the last one. I'm saying everything I ever need to say with this. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, at around 4 or 5, there's an element of he was saying out loud, I really want to make something that's not Metal Gear.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, here comes Death Stranding, and you know what? Death Stranding is not Metal Gear, and it is a whole different thing.
Neither was
it's a whole thing, and I'm really glad that you can get out of there and do a whole here comes Death Stranding 2. Okay, so you have a problem. You are full of shit, and once you get a good idea that you actually do just want to keep doing it over and over.
Actually, I think it was quite simply that he was like, I didn't parlay myself into the movie scene enough. I wanted to get into Hollywood, and I need a couple more of these. So Phantom Pain forward, it was all about further extending that hand into the Hollywood situation, That he bridged it finally. Death Stranding got him in, and now he's just doing the movie thing. But it was an attempt to reach Hollywood that fell short constantly. I mean, his opening salvo was, "Yo, Kurt Russell, guys!" Right? Like, come on, it's always been there.
A lot of people may not know that, but like fucking Metal Gear 1 is like, wow, do you guys like that guy from the Terminator? Yeah, he was cool. And then Metal Gear Solid's like, what if he was Kurt Russell instead? Like, that shit's been there the whole time. He didn't get Kiefer Sutherland as Kiefer Sutherland for Snake. So we had to upgrade to Norman Reedus as Sam.
I'm looking forward to somewhere in the game someone will give an impassioned speech in Death Stranding 2 about why video games should be considered for Oscars. and how much of a short, coming it is, and how short-sighted it is that, we really draw these artificial lines between these mediums when we should be bridging the gaps together.
It's all just art, man. It's all just art.
I dream of a day.
You know what that's going to be, like, surfaced by? It's going to be fucking talking to Heartman about movies, because movies used to happen, and he watches them. And he's going to talk about the Oscars. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to be like, can you believe back in the day they made a distinction between interactive and non-interactive medium? How crazy is that? There were a bunch of video games that should have won Oscars that were way better than, and then they're going to name drop real movies that came out in the years that Metal Gear Solid games released. So what was Best Picture in 1998? It was Titanic. He's going to say, can you believe Titanic won Best Picture? There were many video games that came out that year that were much more emotionally resonant than Titanic and held interesting views about the future of nuclear disarmament.
In fact, there were better games that featured protagonists Jack and Rose.
Still pretty close. Fuck! Is that why they're named Jack and Rose?
Oh, come on!
They're on the ocean? Fuck! God damn it!
Really?
You learn something new every day. Hey, come on.
You didn't know. You didn't know about the Kajumbo genius?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Titanic.
Listen, Wooly, between the two of us, you and I know a lot of Kojumbo genius, but there's always more.
God damn it.
There's always more.
God damn it.
You know what I feel like the most like up his own ass he ever got was Metal Gear Solid 3 talking to Paramedic, where Paramedic's just like, here's a bunch of movies Kojima likes.
Yeah.
That was so ridiculous.
Oh God, fuck that. Yeah, no, Paramedic can kick rocks. Fuck her. That's bullshit. That is a complete ass fucking, I just wanted to be a codec character to talk to you about my movies, and we found a way. 1,000,000%. God damn it. Okay, look. So all that happened. That game, the Eldritch Boat, Dredge. It's getting DLC.
Good. That game's incredible.
Coming next month, November 16th, The Pale Reach.
I don't know how that's going to work, because that game's ending is tight and definitive.
It is described as a new area with new kinds of fish.
Good.
That's whatever the fuck that means. There are 11 new fish and crab species.
Fuck yeah.
As
new
well
equipment,
as
too.
An additional fish type. So I take it that's a big deal?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Disco Elysium's going on PlayStation Plus? Ooh! Now there's no excuse.
By the way, if you're out there using Netflix on your Vita, the app is going to be discontinued.
Oh, is that true? Oh, that's a bummer.
So, anyone who had a smart TV without a Netflix app on it, that's a pretty practical use case. So just in case you were one of those, there you go. All right, that's pretty much it. There was a cool trailer for a game called Little Goody Two Shoes.
I did not see that. I will watch that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems to be like I think it's like a subtly, there's a horror theme to the game, but it is emulating the art style and aesthetic of Lunar Silver Star Story.
That is incredibly accurate and specific.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going for that type of vibe with it. Very retro style anime. And then very retro style like pixel art as well from an exact like PS1 era thing. But
doing more Grandia for me, but I get what you're saying.
Sure. 90s anime look going on. And there are apparently like some horror elements to it that folks were kind of talking about that are going to be more background to it. But it seems like a cool, like, would have been a Kickstarter fan project for if you want a game that emulates that era. Goody Two Shoes, it's called. Check it out. Yeah, all right, let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send in a letter, make it short and good. Don't send a bad one. Send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
All right, here's one coming in from D. Says, Dear Madden Stares At and Boyven Versus, I follow across a number of platforms, video essayists, and documentarians. Owing to that, even when discussing subjects of very different matters, like movies or Netflix or the history of dollar stores, smaller material will pop up. In these examples I gave, the concept of redining, I'm guessing redefining, was discussed and incredibly and came up often elsewhere. Whenever a creator brings up a subject, they usually have to treat it as if their viewers have never heard of it. Being told the very basics of a theme a half dozen times gets frustrating, doubly so when you have to leave out extremely important details for the sake of brevity. So have you had the experience where with a broad media diet, it's diminished your enjoyment of something, even if the thing itself is actually very good?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We had this exact thing happen on the podcast with Don't Look Up, where I knew every single thing the movie wanted to tell me before I sat down to watch it.
Right.
And thus I felt like condescended to, like the movie thought I was fucking stupid the whole time.
The place my brain goes with that is coming at it from another side of it, or more like every time I talk about something relating to fighting games, early on I would just talk about it from the place I was at, and now having caught enough flack over people going, I don't know what you're talking about, I now have to dumb that down to a much simpler thing to not get too in depth with anything with it. So it kind of like, it's like it's a I have to put everything through a bit of a filter and then filter it again and then drop it down to its most basic form whenever something's fighting game or subject related comes up, for sure.
I will say there is the opposite version of this, where the dumbed down version of something starts to get explained to you, and I get really excited. So like when I'm playing a game, and it hasn't happened that many, but it's happened more times than you would think, and a character goes, have you ever heard of the Philadelphia experiment? I go, oh, this story's going to get really stupid soon. Yay.
Okay. I feel like conversely though, I've seen and heard where anytime someone references like things like the Milgram experiment or like Rat Park and stuff like that, it's like stuff like that has become mainstream to kitsch, to a point where people who are studying this stuff are like, those are like some of the worst examples now, because they're often massively misunderstood, misquoted, and like used to imply a conclusion that was not originally implied. And they're attention grabber stories, so like the sensationalized version is the one that everyone wants to reference in their media. You know.
This is a bit slightly off out of fucking this is slightly out of the topic, but I don't think I've ever been physically assaulted by a movie trailer, but one came pretty close. And that was the 2014 film Lucy, starring the Scarlett Johansson, in which she takes a bunch of super drugs and starts to unlock more than 10% of her brain.
Did you know that the human mind only uses 10%?
Dude, it's the closest I've come to being given a brain aneurysm by anything I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I was in theaters on that one. I saw it in theaters.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
Fuck.
It like I felt it in my chest, and I'm like, are you telling me, former Motoko Kusan, I can't even remember fucking name, ScarJo, fresh off being an Asian woman, comes at you using more than 10% of her brain?
The full brain power, even. Yeah. The entire premise.
Dude, John Travolta in Phenomenon was more respectful of this dumbass idea back in the mid-90s. Yeah, I remember that fucking movie. He broke the window, and then the whole plot went off the rails. It was after the movie where he pretended to be an angel.
Okay. Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, Michael. Yeah,
Michael. I want to say. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing when you just your entire premise. I mean, fucking the amount of, like, I remember there was a review of, like, geologists watch and review The Core. You know, like a couple of geologists and an engineer or two review the movie The Core, where they have to drill to the core of the earth to save it. Try not to die. Impossible.
Oh, it's always fun.
Okay, here we go. Question for Pat. Gary says, "Hey there, Pat and Wooly." Gary,
Gary,
with a question for Pat.
Is this Gary or a different Gary?
I don't know.
Well, he'll let me know later.
Just says Gary. Pat always talks about 1998 being the best year for video games. With how many great games came out this year, would you call 2023 the new 1998? Best wishes.
Yeah, maybe. Let's get to the end of the year, but definitely possibility for real. It's been fucking unbelievable. I'm still thinking about fucking Hi-Fi Rush now.
Get that soundtrack going. All right. Yeah, let's take one over here from Professor X. Says, hey there, fans of goofy-ass comic book colors. Last week, you mentioned that Marvel movie color grading and Zack Snyder movie color palettes suck. And you didn't know why people did that, besides not wanting to be seen as goofy, comic booky bullshit. Well, there's another potentially really dumb idea. It's a film theory called desaturation theory, which says desaturation theory suggests that by desaturating even to the point of omitting chromatic colors altogether, we can entice the viewer to participate in the event, to look into it rather than merely at it. Such desaturation is especially successful when we need to reveal or intensely an inscape or an internal event. ... Black and white video commercials are a direct application of desaturation theory. Total desaturation renders the event low definition, which forces the viewer into psychological involvement, quote unquote. And this is from Sight, Sound, Motion, Applied Media Aesthetics. What's really funny about this is that there's a psychology paper from the late 1900s, early 2000s that flat out states none of the interactions supported that theory. That is to say, the responses to monochrome clips were not more powerful than any of the content categories except for neural valence images. So it's one of the top 5 Google results for desaturation theory. It's highly probable that the decades of film and TV have been ruined by film theory for people who huffed their own farts, wrote some bullshit, and got colleges to push it into aspiring directors and cinematographers. Hope that makes your appreciation of brightly colored costumes make a bit more.
I'm gonna transition this into a slight addendum about the word theory. Theory does not mean the same as it does in the arts, as it does in the sciences. Film theory means I invented this concept and pulled it straight from my ass with absolutely no backing in the real world. Now, sometimes that can be good. Sometimes, like color theory, can be worked on for years and years and years.
From the world of art. From the world of art, color theory is both art but also science, and it's based on how you perceive color. Yeah.
Because what do? You get your idea and then you test it over color theory, like thousands and thousands of years, right? Film theory, film is brand new. Film is brand new. So if you go, hey, I have film theory, here's film theory. And then you go, what is the basis for film theory? And the basis for this film theory is a director said it in the 60s. And then you go, what else? And they go, boo. Then you have created film ideas on the same level as chiropractic. Like you have based like real decisions on the ideas of ghosts.
Nice speech, Senator. You got a source on that?
Sources, I made it the fuck up.
Again, I will be the asterisk, the boring bit asterisk over here to say that color theory, as applied to, again, the study of how your perception of colors and the mixing of them and the emotions they evoke and stuff, is something that you can then throw into other mediums, including film. So you can drop you can drop color theory into film. You can drop it into whatever different medium, and as a baseline thing, it can interconnect. But the idea that a bunch of people Googled a search result and something in the top 5 was going, hey, desaturate your movies to get the people to care more about the scenes they're watching, feels very plausible for a bunch of rewriters that are looking to get their names on credits by fixing things that aren't even broken.
Now I'm gonna head off something off at the pass because somebody described that I should take a media literacy class, which is very rude. I'm not saying film theory is de facto incorrect or nonsense. I'm saying film theory with no realistic basis in anything other than the fact that someone wrote it down is nonsense. Like every idea that is based in nothing but what some guy wrote down. Like, as we just described, as Wooly just read from the email, when you actually test it, yeah, it's nothing. It's like fucking, oh my God, Nolan, I would fight Christopher Nolan right now in the street if I saw him. Because he ruined audio in TV and film. Okay. Because Nolan said you shouldn't be, he has said verbatim, you should not be able to hear all of the dialogue because that's not like real life.
Oh, man.
It's more realistic to not be able to hear what everyone is saying. So he purposely mixed his audio really bad. Like bad on purpose for the Batman movies. And then for fucking Dunkirk is apparently unwatchable without subtitles. Okay, this became popular. So now, because we are a generation who grew up watching a lot of foreign language shit and also want to hear things, now subtitles are assumed. I can't watch anything without subtitles anymore because I can't hear anything because the fucking sound mixing is so bad.
Blame Phil Spector and his wall of sound. This is the true culprit behind the scenes when you pull the mask off. Annihilating
like Chris Nolan. Oh, fucking Chris Nolan. Fucking actively ruined the audioscape of film.
That's hilarious. Well, here's the thing, though. And, like, that the mixing level of that bullshit is when it's the single, when it's the inception note, the blah, right? The moments like that are strong and defining for what they are. But yeah, when you can't hear shit, or when like Spider-Verse has to tell every theater to tell the viewers to go tell the theater to turn up the mixing, because people can't make out what's being said.
So a lot of people have watched Inception, and that's not a Batman movie, so it works really well for this. Inception's audio mix was explicitly designed for IMAX theaters only.
Mm-hmm.
That blah noise that is 10 times louder than everything else in the movie is supposed to fucking hit you like a truck. And then absolutely no considerations were made for the way that most people were going to watch that movie, aka at their house.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have situations where Netflix is kicking your stereo TV down 5.1 Dolby because that's what the studio sent them. So the dialogue channel, which is in the middle, is getting split out to your speakers and is massively fucked up.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Again, also, Crunchyroll got caught fucking put up machine translated fucking translations this week.
Of course.
Too lazy to pay even one translator the shitty wages they were paying them prior. They've jumped straight ahead to machine translating anime.
I'm pulling this out of my ass completely, but I would not be surprised if there were a direct link from that concept you're describing to, again, Phil Spector's Wall of Sound, which was a recording method back in the day that was one of the first things from the 60s, which was a way of recording music and then playing it back where you were annihilated with sound, where you couldn't really hear the crisp like separation of instruments. You were just blasted with all of it at an even like overwhelming level, and it a lot of pop hits and a lot of things that blew up and a lot of artists that recorded with him at the time did so in a way where we mixed everything even higher and recorded over the same instruments to create something that just sounded louder than every other song you were hearing on the radio at the time. Fucking noise coming at you gets your attention, and it works.
Hey, I'm gonna point out just to my earlier point, if you want to look it up. It is episode 1 of the Yuzuki family's 4 sons. And if you want to take a look at even like 4 or 5 screenshots of any fucking text on this thing, you too can tell that this is obviously machine translated. No one would ever fucking translate this shit for real in this manner. And it appears to be translated from Japanese into Chinese into English because of the way some of the words have been fucked up.
Oh, on the subtitle thing? Okay.
Yeah.
What did I just see? I just saw a story where, what was it? There was a company that banned, was it not Kickstarter? Someone banned AI art, including something for board games. A story popped up with that as well. Anyway, it was
ban it.
It was something. While we were talking.
Yes, chat. Chew. Yes, that's correct. Fucking Duwang coming back.
Okay. Anyway, there you go. There's your email. Yeah. I really do believe a lot of weird bullshit that happens in movies and in games and things like that can be solved by just Googling something and finding out that the top result is fucking bullshit. You know, I bet you can answer a lot of David Cage problems by just Googling a stupid ass thing and clicking the top result and seeing what it says. Or not even the top result, but the down arrow that just gives you an answer right there on the page. You know, if you can just reverse engineer someone's fucking searches, I bet you can piece together horseshit writing constantly.
I am trapped in my own mind right now because all I can think of is like Chris Nolan sitting there going, I'm a fucking genius. I'm a fucking Hollywood director, as he's telling, what's the fucking the guy who played Bane, the Mad Max
Hardy?
man. What's that, sorry?
Ed Hardy.
He's telling him, do a voice that no one can understand. Tom Hardy. Yeah, okay, Tom, I need you to do a voice that we're going to modulate so that no one can understand a single one of your lines in the entire movie. And that way you're going to be a really imposing villain because no one will know what the fuck you're talking about. And then you're going to turn to talk to Christian Bale, who I have made do the shittiest, most unintelligible Batman voice ever. And you guys are going to have scenes together in which you're growling at each other and no one knows what the fuck you're saying.
I mean, the meme is unstoppable for what it's worth. Bane's voice for till the end of time. You know, that is power. It stands the fuck out.
Like you're looking at the fucking, they're fighting on the steps. This is Gotham. You can't understand me. And Nolan's going like, oh, the masterpiece. Oh, this right here. Like fucking Jesus Christ.
I mean,
they need to distort his voice also. Oh my god!
I need to go watch Tenet so I can find out why people are like getting sick of Nolan's bullshit. Like I'm not sick of it. I still love Nolan's shit.
I have seen one part of Tenet.
I need to find out why the world is turning on Nolan. I need to know. God.
Somebody in the chat points out that though both of those voices were the choices of the actors, and you're right. And it's the director's job that when they see the actors do garbage to say, no, I'm the director, do it good. That is why the director is there. They direct the actors to do a good job instead of their stupid bullshit.
And some are more draconian than others. And will
for fuck's sake, if I was fucking looking at that scene, I'd want to mix the audio so bad you couldn't hear it either.
Okay. Speaking of tenets and I suppose things ending the way they begin, I've got to avoid a bathroom.
You got a poop disaster?
I got a potential disaster brewing. So.
All right, great, perfect. Let's cut it there. You go fight your battles, sir.
Goodbye.